And we're live, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I would like to call this special council meeting of September 13th, 2021 to order. Councillors, if my office goes dark, that's because the overhead lights aren't working, and I'll try to get my flashlight on as soon as possible so I can read the motions. All right, Madam Clerk, I'll be deferring to you. My name is Sandra Easton, Mayor of the Town of Lincoln and Chair of today's special council meeting. We're meeting electronically through Zoom during this declared emergency period. Members of the public may observe the proceedings by accessing the live webcast at our YouTube channel. The Shononton people have called these lands home for thousands of years, and more recently, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee have been sharing the land as one dish, one spoon treaty territory. We would like to acknowledge the enduring resilience of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who call this territory home. We'll ask our town clerk to complete a roll call of council to confirm quorum. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councillor Regina sends her regrets. She will be absent this evening. Councillor Russell?
Here.
Councillor Pachariva?
Here.
Councillor Brunet?
Here.
Councillor Mcpherson?
Here.
Councillor Miklick?
Here.
Councillor Timmers? I did see Councillor Timmers earlier. She might be having some technical difficulties. Councillor Reimer?
Here.
And Mayor Easton?
Present.
And we have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In addition, I would like to take a moment to welcome the staff we have joining us today electronically. Chief Administrative Officer Mike Krikopoulos, Director, Finance, Administration and Innovation, Lawrence Wagner, Director of Special Projects, Kathleen Gale, Director of Planning and Development, Matt Bruder, Director of Economic Development and Communications, Paul Vianney, Manager of Corporate Communications, Liliane Busnello, Associate Director of Recreation and Culture, Sarah Ain, Fire Chief Greg Hudson, Manager, Municipal Law Enforcement, Mike Barkway, Administrative Support, Deanna Phillips, Moderating and Clerking, we have our Director of Legislative Services and Town Clerk, Julie Kirkolos. IT staff are in attendance, and also joining us this evening, Regional Councillor Foster, Craig Milligan, Road Safety Engineer, Microtraffic, and Carolyn Rial, Director of Transportation Services Division, Niagara Region. As this is a virtual meeting, I will ask that we follow some procedures throughout. Should there be a connection or service disruption for the chair, or if quorum is lost, the chair and or clerk will call a 10-minute recess to reconnect and to regain quorum. If quorum is lost, the meeting will be adjourned. If connection is lost from the chair, Deputy Mayor, in this case this evening, it will be Councillor Russell, or the Vice Chair will resume the meeting. Once reconnection is achieved, the chair will assume their role. Each member of council who wishes to speak, press the raise hand feature on your video call. The clerk will track our speakers list today and then invite you to speak when I open the floor for comments or voting. Also, when I finish reading a motion and announcing the mover and seconder, the clerk will then call out the vote by reading each member of council's name out loud. Please remember to take yourselves off mute during this portion of the meeting so that you can confirm if you are in support or opposed. Also, when not speaking, please remember to put yourselves on mute. Do members have a declared interest? I have a note that Councillor Reimer has declared conflict with agenda item 14.3. Can you confirm that, Councillor Reimer?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Easton. Item 14.3, bylaw 2021-71. The applicants are customers of the company I work for.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you. Do members have any announcements? Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Madam Clerk, I don't see any hands on my screen. Now I do. I see Councillor Pachariva. Councillor?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just a reminder that this Saturday from 8:30 to 3 is the 32nd annual Beamsville and District Lions Food Drive for Community Care of West Niagara. Again, it'll be held at the pickup spot is, or the drop-off spot, I guess, will be at Great Lakes School where the sorting takes place. There's some notifications on Facebook if you can come out and help, but if you can't, there's also a listing on there what you can put out, canned goods, toiletries, peanut butter, pasta, things like that to help those less fortunate in our town. And hopefully everyone does their part, whether it's helping or contributing. And you know what? There's no reason for not doing both. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor, and checks are always welcome. I also see Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. I have just a very brief announcement. This past Thursday, the Heritage Advisory Committee designated a house in Camden, the Moyer Moreau's house. And we also had the unveiling of an interpretive plaque at the Far Cottage in Jordan. So this was the very first in-person meeting that the Heritage Committee has been able to have. And it was quite exciting to designate their property in our town and to acknowledge the Far Cottage. So anyone who's walking by, you can take a look at that interpretive plaque and learn a little bit more about our history. Thank you to Monica Coquiera and Devan Kripp for all your help in organizing this event. Thank you, Mary Easton.
Thank you very much. And I recognize Councillor Brunet. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to quickly bring council up to speed. I've had the privilege of being the council representative on the Community Advisory Council for the West Lincoln Hospital since 2015. And that council has worked in conjunction with Hamilton Health Sciences when the merger took place with West Lincoln Hospital and Hamilton Health Sciences in 2015. There was a mandate that was given to the advisory council at that time, and that committee has now reached all its goals and mandates, and we're in the process of going through a bit of a change. And I wanted just to bring council up to speed on that. The committee, which was really an arm's length committee of Hamilton Health Sciences, is going to be morphing into what is going to be called a community committee. And there will be 10 community members that will be joining this committee as we move forward. The committee will only meet 3 times a year. Typically for the last 6 years or so, we've been meeting on a fairly regular basis, probably 6 to 8 times a year. So the committee is changing. It's going to continue to have 3 representatives that will represent West Niagara from Grimsby Council, Lincoln Council, and West Lincoln. At the end of this current term, there will be a changing of the guard for an opportunity for new council representatives. I wanted to bring council up to speed on that. And at the time, when we get the shovel in the ground and the new hospital built, at that time, there will be another step back to look at where this community committee is and set the goals for future. So I just really wanted to bring council up to speed on that and let everyone know that there will be an opportunity in the beginning of the next term for representatives to represent the town of Lincoln. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brunet. Thank you for your dedicated service since 2015, certainly through a very challenging and time when there were lots of issues that needed to be addressed. I don't see any other hands, Madam Chair or Madam Clerk.
Seeing none.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 6, and we're now considering item 6.1, Special Council Minutes of August 3rd, 2021, and item 6.2, Special Council Minutes of September 7th, 2021. We'll deal with them as a unit unless anyone is looking to do something different. So I'm going to read the motion. after we see who has questions. There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachiriva and seconded by Councillor Reimer. The council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council: special council minutes of August 3rd, 2021, special council minutes of September 7th, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Councillor Brunet.
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachiriva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Support.
That carries.
Thank you very much. Item number 7 is delegations. There are no delegations this evening. Item 8 is presentations, and we have 2 presentations this evening. 8.1 is going to be Carolyn Rial, the Director of Transportation Services Division, Niagara Region, providing a presentation on the 1 to 5 year transportation capital budget. And following Carolyn's presentation, I'll open the floor for questions. The presentations are approximately 15 minutes each. Prior to proceeding with presentations, I'm asking council proceed with the majority vote to request the extension for the presentations. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So this motion is moved by Councillor Timmers, seconded by Councillor Miklick, and I'll call the names. Councillor Brunet.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Mcpherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miklick.
Yes.
Councillor Pachiriva.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Reimer.
Yes.
Councillor Russell.
Yes.
Councillor Timmers.
Support.
Mayor Easton. And that carries to extend the time.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Carolyn and Craig. Carolyn, I can't see you right now. There you are. I haven't seen you for months. We haven't seen you for a long time. It's good to see you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mayor?
Perfect.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us this evening. I just want to do a few introductions because we're actually sitting at the regional headquarters. We came in tonight, and I thought I'd like to introduce the staff that's actually behind the presentation tonight. So again, I get to stand up here, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes that do a lot of work. So I have Frank Tassoni, who is the Associate Director of Transportation Engineering. He works extremely closely, Council and Mayor Easton, with your staff. So David Graham, Walter, there's quite a bit of collaboration that's going on behind the scenes. So Frank's going to be helping with a number of the capital projects that we're moving forward with, just to give some context on how we're partnering with your staff. Next, we have Pam Milton-Berg. Pam is, she's a transportation specialist on our end, where she deals with the capital budget outlook for the division. So she's taking in all of the different feedback from all the different pieces of the business, engineering included. And then when our budget goes to regional council, Pam's been instrumental in just doing all the coordination with regards to that. And then lastly, I have Judy Mcpherson, who is a specialist in the division as well. And she does all of the coordination that has us here this evening with me being able to speak in front of you today. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, and we're pleased to be here tonight. So Julie, I just wanted to make sure that everyone can hear us and you can see us just before we get going and we can start the presentation.
Yeah, let me just share my screen and you're coming across clear, so no problems with that.
Okay, great. Thanks for all your help, Julie, as well. Julie's been very helpful with all the information we've been providing and getting us up and running as well. So thanks, Julie.
No worries, one moment. So if somebody can just confirm that you can see my screen, that would be great.
We can see it here at the region.
Okay, and just tell me when to proceed, Carolyn.
You can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So the region's here tonight to talk about our 1 to 5 year draft capital forecast. So we'll be walking through the projects that we're forecasting, and these are similar to the ones that we bring forward to our regional council on an annual basis for approval. We'll also be touching on a number of 10-year outlook projects, again, just to give everyone a little bit of a purview as to, again, how we do our longer term strategy and planning for your municipality. We're going to be providing some safety initiatives. It's fair to say, with all the dialogue and the collaboration that goes on with Regional Councillor Foster, Mayor Easton, the CAO and David Graham with our staff here, there has been a huge effort in part of the region with regards to a number of safety initiatives with pilots and other work that we've done in the community that we're happy to showcase tonight as part of the presentation as well. And then the presentation will end itself off with some regional visionary projects that are in the works here at the region. And again, pending council approval, we'll be moving those forward and working very closely with your staff again, Mary Easton, on your end. Julie, next slide. So I just wanted to ground council again on how our capital budget is broken down. So when we bring our capital budget forward, and we're in the midst of our 2022 receiving approval with our regional council here at the region, we break it down into network expansion. We have intersection improvement programs. We have our roads rehabilitation program, and then we have our structure rehabilitation program. If you can move to the next slide, Julie. I just wanted to also provide a little bit of context what each of these definitions mean. There was a recent presentation that was done here at the region with Public Works, where we actually put out a pamphlet that talked about immediate and the 1 to 5 capital programs, again, that are being brought forward across all of Niagara region, across the 12 different municipalities. And as part of that, we wanted to ground council here on what the definitions meant. So when we talk about network expansion, and again, all of these definitions you're going to see in the upcoming slides that Frank primarily is going to be presenting. When we talk about a network expansion, this is including construction, for example, of a new road. It could be a widening of an existing road, and it has to do with accommodating growth and development. And where this typically is found is in our transportation master plan, which is something from transportation's perspective, it is our guiding tool. It's something we talk to council about, and it sets the priorities here for the region. So we'll be embarking on updating our transportation master plan that was just approved in 2017, but it does highlight our outlook, and it deals with our network expansion and all the new projects that we're going to be delivering throughout all of Niagara region. No, you can stay on the same slide, Julie. Sorry, go back up.
Sorry.
Thanks. That's okay, no worries. Intersection improvement program. So this involves the modification to improve safety at intersections. This can involve adding turn lanes and curbs. It can be resurfacing the road network. It also can be enhanced pavement markings. Again, we've worked very closely with a number of the staff at Lincoln with prominent locations, making sure that those are being done annually, and we're trying to get them done as soon as possible between the spring and the summer time frame. It could be installing a new traffic signal and or creating a roundabout. So that's what we're referring to when we talk about our intersection improvement program as part of our capital ask. We then move to our roads rehabilitation program. This involves reconstruction of our roads to address deteriorating pavement conditions and improve the cross section. It also can deal with new buried infrastructure, curb and gutter, and the implementation of active transportation. A common term that's used that many of you may have heard is our hot mix program. So when the region is out doing work in your municipality for hot mix, this is something that would fall under our roads rehabilitation program. And then lastly, structure rehabilitation has two major categories. We have bridge rehabilitation, which is where we're just trying to deal with deficiencies to extend the service life of the bridge structure versus a bridge replacement. When the bridge is at the end of its service life, we're looking to replace the bridge in its entirety. So across the 1 to 5 year outlook, the region is looking to invest approximately $48 million in capital projects in the town of Lincoln. So I'm very pleased to relay that. More specifically though, for 2022, which still requires council approval, as does every outlook budget year, the region is looking to invest in 4 different projects in 2022 with a total of around $2.5 million. And again, we're working through that right now through the region's budget process, and they'll be coming forward to our council. Thanks, Julie. If you can move to the next slide. So within our 1 to 5 year capital forecast under our network expansion, something that was identified, and there's been, again, a lot of conversation between the region and Lincoln, and again, with staff and different representatives, is the new Escarpment Crossing. So to provide an update as to where this is in the programming here at the region, this is pre-environmental assessment stage. Staff within our planning division in transportation right now are working on the terms of reference for the environmental assessment. There has been conversation on the type of environmental assessment the region would like to run for this very large and difficult environmental assessment. And there's been conversation that we've brought forward here at the region, as well as with the municipality, on doing something a little bit more strategic and different, referred to as an IEA, an individual environmental assessment. So I'm pleased to say that we continue those dialogues with the MECP. The team right now, we're finalizing the draft terms of reference for an IEA. Our intent is to work with procurement here at the region to have that tendered in Q1 of 2022, and then to hopefully award the contract to a consulting firm to come in and assist us with this process in Q2, Q3 of next year. Two important points with regards to this program is one that we're going to be working very closely with the municipality. So your staff, David Graham and others, will be part of a stakeholders group that we're going to form here at the region to ensure that we have all the municipal support with us at the table. And from just a political perspective, an important thing to note here, Mayor, and we've spoken about it before, is that the funding envelope for this in 2017 was well over $100 million. And there'll have to be that support as we talk with our different levels of government and our partners on how they assist the region in moving this very costly program forward when we're ready to construct that program down the road. So I just wanted to make mention of that. Julie, if you can move to the next slide, please. So Regional Road 69, Pelham Road, Phase 3. This is from Wessel Drive to 8th. Phase 1 was completed with regards to a stretch of roadway. Phase 2, which was from Effingham to Wessel, has been completed by the region. It currently is in its warranty phase. It was a full reconstruction, with it being a rural cross section. We improved the road platform. There were utility relocates as part of it, and we were able to incorporate active transportation, which is something the region here is very mindful of, and obviously wanting to make as many active transportation connections as we can among the different municipalities. And we've been working very closely with your staff and others on how the region advances that program. So there'll be more to come on that. With the Phase 3 that you're seeing here before you, which is Wessel Drive to 8th, the detailed design is now complete. We're looking to have the Public Information Center Q4 of this year, where we'll be providing an update to the community on what the detailed design and how that's completed itself. We're looking to also start the tendering process in Q4 of this year with the intent to begin construction for next year in spring. And we're also targeting utility relocates to begin this year. So there's been a lot of heavy lifting by staff to get this this final phase moving forward, and we're pretty excited in working with, again, the staff at the municipality. We'll continue to do that to move this one forward. The next slide, Julie, please. The next program within our 1 to 5 year capital outlook is Regional Road 669. This is 8th Avenue. This is from 21st Street to 17th Street. This is a progression or an extension of Regional Road 69 that I just described on the previous slide. This will really be the last section linking Victoria Avenue, Regional Road 24 in Lincoln to the city of St. Catharines, which is a heavily used roadway for many in the area. It again is a rural cross section. As part of the process, we'll be looking at how we improve the road platform once again, utility relocates, and determining through the detailed design where there'll be strategic active transportation components added to this as well. The design is anticipated to begin in 2024, and then construction will follow approximately in 2026. So I'm now going to pass the remainder of the capital works over to Frank to provide some detailed information.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Frank.
Thank you. Okay, if we can forward one slide, please. Okay, so a couple of projects that we have that are more along the lines of urbanization are firstly the road reconstruction of King Street, Regional Road 81 from Durham to Lincoln Avenue. So our design is currently underway on that, and we're looking to go to construction in 2023. That will include active transportation and urbanization of that road section, which is a vital link having to do with schools in the area, and continuity of active transportation. The second project, which is of great interest to council and also residents in the area and businesses, is the reconstruction of Regional Road 81 King Street from Vine Haven Trail to 23rd Street. And the region has been working together with town staff on a number of initiatives as part of that program, primarily stormwater and buried infrastructure upgrades, but also active transportation and some enhanced streetscaping. So that project is working its way along, and we hope to be in the ground with construction there in 2024. That project has taken the region a little bit longer than we had expected, but we are doing that because there are some stormwater issues that we really need to nail down with the town. So we've been working very closely together to ensure that we implement the proper solution there. We get forward one slide, please. The next project is a project that is being led by the town, which is the intersection improvements at Main Street and 19th Street as part of your overall improvement to the Jordan area. So the region is a cost-sharing partner on that project and has been working together with town staff to support the detailed design and ensure that we have our funding aligned with the town in order to implement that project as the town sees fit. And recently we've added another project in that very same vicinity, which is the reconstruction of King Street between 19th and St. John's Drive, which is looking at active transportation and the urbanization of a smaller section of roadway that has now been urbanized or has now been developed and is under development, and will look to urbanize and also provide some geometric improvements to the side streets in the area. And forward a slide. Okay, now we're going to get into our bridge, our structural rehabilitation program. So this is primarily bridges and culverts. The first project that we have is 16 Mile Creek Bridge, and this will be broken into two phases. There's two structures over the creek there, the north and the south, and they're in the slide that you're looking at. On the left, you're looking on the north from the north, and on the right, you're looking from the south. So that is a bridge rehabilitation. And we're looking at doing the north section in 2024 and the south section in 2025. Can forward a slide. Okay, and 15 Mile Creek Bridge is adjacent to 16 Mile Creek Bridge. And there we have some work to do on the south structure. And we've lined that up in 2025. That way we can carry out the works on the south bridges of both 15 and 16 Mile Creek along with one another. That way we only have to disrupt the traffic in the area one time. So that is lined up for 2025. We can forward that slide. Okay, the next one is 16 Creek Arch Culvert. And we have construction funds allocated for this structure in 2022. The design is currently underway, and we'll be moving forward with that program very shortly. Move forward the slide. Okay, many of you will be very familiar with 20 Mile Arch Bridge. It's a bit of a historic area, and we're moving forward with that detailed design right now. The current construction timing is 2023. And we'll also be looking at potential alignments of that structure to allow for we're looking at different types of replacements and also different road profiles and cross sections to allow for active transportation, with the intent of further studies in the future looking at extending active transportation through the Jordan Hollow there. Yeah, can forward, go ahead. Yeah. Next one, we have King Street retaining wall rehabilitation. So this is in the area of the previous culvert, 20 Mile Arch Bridge. And this is looking at the retaining walls that are existing there that are holding up the roadway. Being on the escarpment, we've had to do some repairs to those walls that are getting a little bit older. And so we thought that it would be the right time now to do some rehabilitation to those walls, and also at the same time look at the width of the platform and the ability to add active transportation to that road cross section while we do the rehabilitation on those walls. Looking forward slide. Okay, the next one is Ontario Street from King Street to the QEW. So the town is currently going through a visioning exercise with regional urban planning, and they're coming up with a vision for the road section in this area and the overall road uses and uses for the adjacent properties. So engineering and planning are working together to take the findings of that study when it is complete and to run through an environmental assessment, and then we'll be moving forward with the reconstruction of this road section. There's some buried infrastructure that is being constructed in the interim, so the town and region water wastewater sections are doing some buried infrastructure work there over the next couple of years, and hopefully the timing will line up so that we come in sometime in the near future behind those buried infrastructure projects. Okay, the next project that we have is Fly Road Underpass. So this is the underpass that is located at the Walker Quarry site. And we have some funds in the 6 to 10 year forecast to look at detailed design and implementation of any upgrades required to rehabilitate that crossing. Next slide. And King Street Culvert is also in our 6 to 10 year forecast. And that is a straight rehabilitation, or likely be a reconstruction of that crossing, which is on King Street. You can see the south elevation there. It's a rock face, and we'll be upgrading that. All right, we'll pass it back over to Carolyn now to speak about some safety initiatives.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. So it's fair to say that safety has been a top priority for the region, and we've worked extremely closely with the mayor, the regional councillor. I know this has been something that we continue to speak to staff about, and I know the council is very passionate about the safety concerns that come to the attention of the region. So I just wanted to highlight a number of the different safety initiatives that honestly we've all collaboratively have come up with to work on the safety concerns, and there's still more work and action to be taken, but I think it's important to outline a lot of the great work that's been done to date. So the Vision Zero Road Safety Program, for those who are aware of what the region is trying to do with regards to that visioning of that program, is our intent right now, and obviously there's been just things happening with the pandemic, but the reality is we're working to have this launched in Q1 of 2022. So I will be coming back to Lincoln Council, targeting prior to the end of this year, where I'm going to be looking for support by the council for the launch of that program. What that details is that there are changes being made to the intermunicipal agreement with regards to how the region would like to operate this program, which includes red light cameras, automated speed enforcement, communication and education platforms, a whole host of other items. Some of them are outlined here. But what it is going to be the new principles of how we're going to work together under the Vision Zero program. And I require unanimous support across all 12 of the LAMs, as well as regional council, in order to iron this out. So there's been a lot of great work. There's been a lot of good conversation around it. I will be coming back with a presentation outlining what those intermunicipal agreement changes are. I know there's great support for this program, so I look forward to coming back to this council with approval that I'm looking for in order to get this up and running. And there'll be great changes that'll occur throughout Niagara region once we get this program up and reading. And I know council has been reading what's been happening in other jurisdictions outside of the area, and what impacts the red light cameras as well as automated speed enforcement have on some of the safety concerns we're all dealing with. Pavement, line marking, and crosswalks. This is an annual program. Again, the region goes out, and on all regional roads, we do our best strategically hitting all the different municipalities to be highlighting all the road markings. Putting the ladder crosswalks has been an initiative that we've started in the last year, where again, we're targeting high pedestrian areas. We're putting in ladder crosswalks, and that program will continue. And again, there's been great effort in making Lincoln a priority, just based on all the safety conversations we've been having in your downtown core and other areas. The speed display trailer has been pulled out based on requests of the municipality, even residents. Anytime we get any concern that's forwarded to our attention, the region adds this to our priority list. We pull out our speed display trailer. It provides driver awareness for those traveling on the regional road network, so they're understanding their speed. We have seen great uptake in this program, and it's widely adopted and used right now by the region, and it's something that we're going to continue to use. And again, it's really just to help the drivers on the roadway be aware of how fast they're traveling, which sometimes they may not be aware. Micro traffic video pilot program. This is the first of its kind that we launched in Lincoln. Again, we did it in collaboration with staff and Regional Councillor Foster, the CAO, and Mayor Easton. Again, it was us thinking outside of the box collectively on how we wanted to deal with safety in your downtown core. So we have Craig here with us this evening to talk about the findings and the recommendations that have come out of that. So that'll be the second presentation you'll be hearing about tonight. Sign installations is something else. No surprise, we're out there trying to increase anything to deal with driver awareness, implementation of signs, awareness signs. We've done no parking prohibitions at requests from sightlines and other safety concerns, and that's just something the region will continue to assess and implement. And we have a great safety department here that takes everything that we're forwarded. They assess it to all the different warrants and books and MTO guidelines, and are very quick to react to be out on site when we have a major safety concern with our next steps and how we're going to implement changes. And then lastly, the truck bypass study. So this is being led by the municipality, Dave and Walter. The region has been a stakeholder. We're very good partners on this program. There'll be more to come on this, and we're excited to be a partner in how we improve the safety, especially in your downtown core area there, with the truck bypass and what the recommendations may be and next steps. Next slide, Julie. And then just to finish off the regional vision, the region has a larger Complete Streets initiative underway. All 12 LAMs are at the table as part of the participation on this. For those who are not aware what the Complete Streets program is it is a look at all of the different street typologies throughout the region. So I'm referring to rural all the way up to urban. We're working collaboratively, again, with the LAMs on what do we want those cross sections and those right-of-ways to look like. And we're looking at it from the width of the right-of-way all the way to the street furniture. So there's been well over a year's worth of work with a consultant. There have been numerous meetings. There'll be more to come with presentations here at Public Works requiring approval on next steps. If I can highlight, the next major discussions with each of the LAMs are going to talk about roles and responsibilities as to who will own and maintain, and then it'll be outlining our responsibilities as we try and roll this out. So there'll be a lot more conversation around this, but it is going to have a look and feel that'll be consistent throughout Niagara region on the regional road network. It'll have a set of criteria that we all will use, and again, it'll be able to delineate different features we want to have on our rural versus our urban cross sections. So it's pretty exciting work, and the consultant who's doing that work's been doing an excellent job with the region and all the LAMs. Regional wayfinding. So this has been a program that the region has had in its capital budget. We continue to bring it forward. Strategically, it makes sense for us to have that come on the heels of the Complete Streets. So there'll be more to come on that. Again, it's looking at how on a regional road network, we work with each of the municipalities to have a consistent or a different way of how we're going to get people around Niagara region that is going to be dealing with the different, again, communities and how they want to showcase them, but having something fairly consistent on the regional road network. So when you're on it, you can find your way fairly easily into each of the different municipalities. And then lastly, the Niagara-Hamilton Trade Corridor. This is something that's been outlined in the region's Transportation Master Plan. This is an enormous program that deals with linking Hamilton all the way to Fort Erie. The region has made a number of submissions to the federal government thus far. There's been no uptake to deal with the first phase of the program, but there'll be more to come again as we work with the feds and our own regional government here, as well as in our dealings with each of the LAMPs. There'll be more to come on, again, how we're looking for a secondary highway to move people and goods in a safe manner, in addition to the QEW, for many factors that we talked to the province and the provincial government about, and again, our own council on how we're wanting to move Niagara region here ahead. So that concludes a lot of work that is imminent in Lincoln. We're really pleased to be here tonight. So thank you, Council, Mayor Easton, for allowing us the opportunity to show all the great work and collaboration going on with your staff. And now between Frank and I, we're happy to answer any questions on any of the projects that we brought forward here tonight.
Great, thank you very much, Carolyn and Frank. And Madam Clerk, I'm starting with Councillor Dene. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Carolyn and Frank and the rest of your team. Thanks for the presentation. My first question is not really specifically with regards to anything that you said in your presentation, but I'm just wondering if someone, either Carolyn or Frank or someone on the team, could make a comment. We're starting to hear more and more across the province, municipalities that are looking at lowering speeds in our neighborhood networks, 50 kilometers to 40 kilometers. And, we're seeing municipalities starting to put those changes in. I'm just wondering if anyone, Carolyn or Frank or anyone, could comment if this is something that's being discussed at the region, and from your perspective, is this something that would be possibly looked at from a regional basis involving all 12 municipalities, or is this something that the individual municipalities would have to bring forward themselves if that was something that a council wanted to look at?
So I'm happy to answer that question. So Councillor Foster, I believe, brought forward a motion for transportation to look at the exact question you're raising right now. So it is currently with staff. We did have a meeting this past week on a response to the motion and what the next steps of the region would be with regards to that ask. I can tell you we'll be coming back with, we're looking right now whether it's going to be a memorandum or it could even be a staff report, but we do have some information we're going to bring back with regards to what implications that would have on the regional road network, just so everybody here at the region is aware, if this was something that we were to support, what it does to our road network and what the next steps would look like. I also can tell you that this is something that has been brought to MTO's attention. I do know that other jurisdictions outside of Niagara region have brought this forward to MTO in the past. It's fair to say that we're looking for an update on maybe where that has gone, but I do know that that is something that has been raised. And where MTO is on that, I'll provide that update as part of either the memorandum or the staff report coming back to PwC prior to the end of this council term.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that response. I appreciate that. Through you, Madam Mayor, if I could just continue, I have two more questions.
Please go ahead, Councillor.
So I guess this message may be either through the mayor to either Carolyn or to Frank. He touched on it in his part of a couple of the major projects. So as one of the ward councillors that represents Ward 2, and as someone that was involved in active transportation when we launched that in Lincoln here a number of years ago, we've been looking forward with immense anticipation for the reconstruction of Regional Road 81 from Mountain View Road, with the realignment of Mountain View Road intersection, the realignment of 30 Road intersection, and then everything to the roundabout and eventually to the new high school. We put out a tender, as I'm sure you're aware, as the town of Lincoln in 2019 to replace that water main from Mountain View to Durham Road, in anticipation of what we were told at the time, this tender would be called in 2021. We were then told that the project was going to be deferred until 2022. And now we're hearing tonight in your presentation that it's being deferred to 2023. I cannot tell you the amount of calls that we have fielded over the last number of years about this section of road, the safety concerns, and I'm just wondering if you could comment on why this is being deferred again to 2023.
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, so through Chair, so the program that you're pointing out is King Street from Durham to Lincoln. And so the region has been working with our consultant on a couple of different road profile and cross-section alignments through that section. And that has taken some extra time to get the proper cross-section nailed down with respect to the active transportation in the area. As you've alluded to, there are high schools and such in the area. And we wanted to make sure that we got the right cross-section nailed down. So it has taken a little bit longer than we originally anticipated. However, we are committed to putting the ask forward. Once again, that has to go through budget approval, but we are committed to putting the ask forward for the next budget cycle and that project being in 2023. So we are prepared, and we are at a point now where we are moving forward with the construction. It's taken us a little bit longer to get everything figured out in the right cross section to make sure that we carry the project out in an effective manner, but we are at that point now.
Councillor?
Like I say, as one of the ward councilors, we've been hearing about this for the last 2 terms. With the new high school, we were told that we were going to see that. That's why we spent the money to do the water main in 2019. So, you don't have to go too far out there to see the trenches that are sitting there that haven't been paved and the issues that people and our residents are having to deal with navigating that section of road. So, I appreciate your response, but I'm just articulating to you how disappointing it is to be hearing that it's being deferred for another year. But I accept your comments. Through you, Madam Chair, my last comments through you to Carolyn. Carolyn, one of the frustrating things that the councillors in Ward 1 and Ward 2 have on a regular basis, we field safety, speeding concerns, are the fact that, we can't control what happens on regional roads. So whether it be Mountain Street, whether it be Ontario Street, we have residents that are really, really concerned about issues with regards to speeding and safety. As you know, we have over the last 2 terms requested data to be recovered at certain areas. And I use it as just as an example, the intersection at Stadelbauer and how residents continue to make that an issue where they want a street light and signalization. We continue to hear that the data doesn't support it. There are many of our residents that are on this call tonight that are listening to this and hearing what the region could bring forward to work collaboratively with us as a council. We respect the role that you guys do with the region. We do these jobs without you. I'm wondering, Carolyn, if you could comment or maybe give a comment to our residents here in Lincoln that are constantly complaining and concerned about these issues on regional roads and what we can do to try to alleviate these safety concerns. Because, when we look at the vision of Ontario Street out 6 to 10 years, these people are not wanting to wait 6 and 10 years. So, are there some short-term solutions that we can be working collaboratively with our regional councilors and the regional staff to try to come up with some solutions for these concerns at these pinch points where data is always the answer to say it doesn't substantiate the things that our residents are asking for.
Thank you, Councillor, for your comments and through the chair. So it's fair to say that safety is paramount to the Transportation Division. That's the first critical item that we deal with every day on how we do our environmental assessments all the way through to designing and through construction. So safety is paramount to what we do. It's also fair to say that the region receives requests on a daily basis related to speeding, related to intersection improvement and changes, related to no parking. So we have a very good safety group here that follow, and I've communicated this in a little bit of the correspondence that I provide back, is that we are following guidelines and principles that either have been established by council or they're driven through OTM, Book 7. We're following MTO guidelines. So we do need to put parameter around the decision-making with the number and the volume of the requests that the region receives. Appreciating to those who live in the area that the data doesn't, maybe equate to what they're seeing out on the roadway. But the region has done a very good job with all requests, not just in Lincoln, but outside of Lincoln, to investigate them. So the safety team are out on the roads, they're checking the conditions. Again, we are guided by certain metrics we need to follow with regards to how we're implementing different techniques across all the municipalities. And those which do have immediate severity from a safety perspective that we need to address, we're out there doing it. So if it requires the installation, or if it requires the change, or if it requires signage, the region is out there doing it. For a lot of the requests that it may not be warranted now, we have worked with Lincoln staff in particular on a number of different ways that we can continue to review, to monitor. Our speed trailers are out there. We work closely with the NRP with regards to speeding enforcement, because that falls under their jurisdiction, not that of the region. And I think with regards to the rollout of the Vision Zero, once the Vision Zero safety program is actually rolled out and we get it launched, I think there's going to be, I know there's going to be a change in driver behavior and awareness when we got red light cameras and the automated speed enforcement program rolled out, with the intent to continue to expand that. So I'm hoping I'm answering your question a little bit with regards to, there's a process that we're following with regards to how we're assessing the data. Because it may not be warranted today doesn't mean it's not warranted tomorrow. We continue to monitor those situations really closely with your staff. There's constant conversation of thinking outside the box of how we can change or do something, or just continue to monitor it until such time it will be required, and then the region will implement it.
Thank you very much, Carolyn and Frank and your entire team for coming this evening. We respect the job you've done, and we look forward to keeping the lines of communication open with you moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Petroliva.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton, and Councillor Brunet beat me to the punch as the other Ward 2 councillor and your infrastructure committee chair about, the disappointment in the road reconstruction of King Street from Lincoln Avenue to Durham Road. We've been telling our residents it's coming, and it's rather disappointing. Carolyn, you touched on safety issues. Well, Director Graham and myself and Councillor Brunet walked the section of 30 Road from the intersection of King Street up to the crest of the escarpment the other day with a resident, and made a bunch of immediate improvements. But the biggest, causes of potential fatalities or accidents are the shoulder on the corner of 30 Road and King Street, where the water then comes down and goes to 30 Road to King, and it's furrowed maybe 2 feet deep. So anyone riding a bicycle that's pushed off to the curb, or no, there is no curb, pushed off to the shoulder, is going to go over the handlebars, and into a lane of traffic. So whether something's done there immediately, because you can't put more stone there, it'll just get washed away. There's a road in Pelham where they have used asphalt to do an asphalt shoulder that then will lead the water away. So, and then, you know, heading to Welland on the weekend and taking the back way, I was delighted to see the job that was done on Weber Road, and hoping and asking if that cross section on King will mimic that on Weber, with the nice wide paved shoulders, which can be used for AT. So just curious about those couple things.
So through you, Chair, to Councillor Petriva, yes. So we can definitely touch base with our operations section and have a ride out there and have a look at the situation that you're talking about and determine if there's some type of interim measure that we can put in place that will alleviate the situation that you're describing tonight. In recognition of the fact that we won't be out there for our project until 2023. And our project definitely will address these issues. That intersection will be fully reconstructed and urbanized, so that that will deal with that intersection. So we will bring that back to our operations section to see if there's something that we can do in the interim. To answer your question about the full cross section with active transportation, yes, our intention for this section is to implement cycling facilities. And so you are going to get that full cross section with the full regional cross section platform that includes for active transportation.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. That's encouraging to hear. And maybe a follow-up to you and Carolyn to a future meeting is to come back on the operational side, you know, where we can talk about school crossing at William and King Street that is the only one on King Street that doesn't have an overhead crosswalk sign to help out with the crossing guard that we have there, who, you know, a few times a week has to whack cars with their stop sign because cars don't stop. And then the other one would be, you know, getting forward on the community safety zone on Mountain Street in front of St. Mark's School. So a couple operational things too, if we could touch at a later date, maybe you come back with another presentation. But my other question is with respect to the Vision Zero road safety program, and I'm really excited to see that in pavement line markings and crosswalks. So I do a lot of driving in my day job, and probably do about 65,000 kilometers a year going across the province. I noticed in your presentation, there's, you know, a graphic that kind of depicts it. Haldeman has raised crosswalks, and I don't want to get into Craig's presentation later, but that seems to have an effect on slowing vehicles down and heightening awareness to the conflicts between pedestrians and motor vehicles. So is that part of the Vision Zero program?
So through the chair, so the Vision Zero program is looking at a whole host of different techniques. There'll be more to come on some of the jurisdictional scan and the items that the region is going to be proposing. Raised crosswalks right now, I don't have a decision on whether that's something we're going to be implementing or not throughout the region. Again, we're in the midst of doing a jurisdictional scan on that. The reason being is, with how fast and also with the plowing operational, those are other factors and considerations we need to be mindful of when we're doing some of these different techniques throughout the region. So it's very similar to speed bumps. There's been a lot of requests for regional roads to have speed bumps. The region does not implement those, obviously, because from an operational standpoint, moving people and goods, but also with regards to just how we maintain them, it's not been something that we're entertaining at this point. But we'll come back with regards to what we're looking to do at intersections, heightening awareness for pedestrians from a safety perspective, and there'll be more to come on all that.
If I could add to Councillor Petriva that the region has been very progressive in working with the local municipalities on the implementation of several PXOs across the region, which is what we consider to be an enhanced crosswalk. So our enhanced crosswalk, in my opinion, is probably a little more sound than simply a raised crosswalk. So we have been working very closely with the municipalities to determine where PXOs are warranted and working with the municipality on the implementation of those across the entire region.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the presenters. I just want to say thanks first to Councillor Bernay and Councillor Pachariva for asking a lot of those safety concern questions about Ward 1 and Ward 2 in particular, those reflecting active transportation. They did nail a bunch of the questions on my list. My first question is really a clarification. I caught part of the answer to one of Councillor Pachariva's questions. It was about that cross section / design from Lincoln to Durham on Regional Road 81. Is that going to be made available for a commentary for our Active Transportation Committee or by this council before it gets finalized, or is that already final?
No, we do have, I believe, one more PIC to carry out on that, and then we'll be filing the environmental assessment. The detailed design is moving along at the same time as that, so you will have an opportunity to see that before it's finalized.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up to that, Your Worship. Will there be a speed review on that section of road? And I've brought it up in the past. We have a section of about 1 kilometer between Lincoln Avenue and, about 30 Avenue and Durham, where it goes from 50 kilometers up to 70 and then back down to 50 through a very windy area. A lot of residents have been raising concerns in the past about bus stops on that area. And have questioned why on such a short part of the road, it goes from 50 to 70 back down to 50. They've asked for it to be homogeneous at 50. I'm wondering if that's possible for you to review.
Yeah, and through Chair, we can definitely look at the speed there and through our traffic safety section, determine whether a reduction in speed is warranted, and we can report back to council on that.
Okay, thank you very much. And last question, Your Worship.
Yes, go ahead.
As part of that automated speed enforcement, I know you said there's going to be a report being brought back on that somewhere in the near future. Would that only be implemented on regional roads, or would it have the availability to go out to non-regional roads as well?
So through the chair, so the first phase of the program, which I'll be coming back to Lincoln Council to present on, will be the implementation and the launch of using 4 pieces of equipment to start. And they will be used primarily for the first, the first duration of the program on the regional road network at the 12 community safety zones that are already in operation. So we'll be moving the equipment around for a short period of time across there's a duration that I'll be presenting to where those pieces of equipment will be moved around to the community safety zones that are already in practice and play throughout Niagara region, with the intent that will expand the program. After we sort of get the program up and running, we've had a chance to monitor and confirm how it's working because there's many pieces with regards to MTO and the courts that we need to just get grounded on. And then we'll be coming back with subsequent reporting and how we want to advance that program moving forward. And that will be including participation with our lands.
Okay, thank you very much. Very excited for that to come forward.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. And we move on to Councillor Mcpherson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You've gone mute. I think you must have touched up. There you go.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Thank you. So again, thank you, Carolyn, for the presentation tonight. There is certainly a lot here for Ward 3. Good to hear all of what's going on up on the 669, on the 8th Avenue and the plans for that, and very excited to hear that you are planning to continue the active transportation that looks fabulous on the extension that you've already done from that little piece out in St. Catharines around Henry of Pelham. So very, very good to hear that you want to take that further through on Pelham Road or 8th Avenue and also on 69. So great to hear. couple of questions. You brought up the King Street retaining walls traveling down through the hollow. And again, I'm very excited to hear the comment that was made that you want to incorporate active transportation in there. There is the bridge that is also going in there, and I do believe that active transportation is also incorporated into that bridge. So I guess that then brings us to the section of the road that is beyond that, moving east beyond that bridge and moving up into the intersection of Main Street and 19th Street, which we're redoing as well. So I wonder if you could comment on maybe an overall strategy for the Jordan Hollow, if you will, and incorporating active transportation right through that hollow. I will tell you that you know, I've been here on council since 2014, and it is one of the areas that I do receive a lot of calls, a lot of emails on the safety part of that hollow, the speeds with which cars and motorcycles moving through that, and trucks moving through that area, the lack of adequate space for cyclists and walkers, the curves that are in that road, and again, hearing tonight that you've got active transportation in sight and you've got safety in sight. I wonder if you could comment on maybe the overall plan on moving right through the hollow.
Yeah, through Mayor Easton to Councillor. I'm glad you asked the question because we recently had this conversation with town staff regarding a joint study that could be carried out by the region and town staff to look at the entire active transportation network through the hollow and extending in both directions from the hollow. So we do have some funds in the budget that we're going to execute a study along with town staff. Staff will be contributing as a cost-sharing partner to look at the overall network in that area. And if we are to be successful and extend the platform through the hollow where we have to reconstruct those retaining walls, then where do we go from there, and how much further can we bring the network, and what does that look like, whether it be multi-use path, on-road facilities, off-road facilities. So we are looking at that. That is on the radar, and we're going to be working together with town staff to look at the overall active transportation network through the hollow and extending from the hollow.
Great to hear. You know, you're doing a lot of work there, and it'd be a shame to miss the opportunity and have to go back and redo it. It just seems like it would be a good time to just make it happen, especially with that bridge going in and this retaining wall needing repair. It just would, and of course with the Main Street, 19th Street intersection going down that hill there, it just would make some sense. So good to hear that. Let me move to downtown Vineland, and not great news. You know, I did hear tonight the year 2024, which is the first time I've heard that, and I can tell you that is a huge disappointment for the residents of Vineland. And it is I probably don't have to tell you, it is a project that has been it's actually come to a public meeting back in, I don't know what it was, 2015 or 2014. You know, now we're looking at 10 years down the road. It is one of the most challenging issues that I personally face as a counselor when people are asking me, what are we doing about downtown Vineland? So tonight, to hear that it's not going to be 2023, which I've been communicating to people for some time now, that it's been pushed to 2024, I just don't know what to say. So I wonder if you could speak to that. I did hear something about infrastructure. I'm going to say that that infrastructure has been an issue for at least the 10 years that this project has been on the books or worked on, and it has been an issue, for many years prior to that. So, to delay the project as a result of not knowing something about how we're going to deal with that, to me is disappointing. So I wonder if you could speak to that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Through Mayor to the councillor. Yeah, so the drainage out there has been a real challenge, and it's something that we've had to work on. And to say that we didn't know about it would definitely be inaccurate. We knew that there was going to be drainage issues in the area. The drainage area there is primarily broken into two sections. So the section to the west of Victoria Avenue and the section to the east. The town has done some work on the outlet downstream of the west section, and that's been coordinated with the town. But the section that the region has had to do extensive studying on is a section to the east of Victoria Avenue. And so the region has worked with the town to look at that drainage area and try to make improvements to the area. There are definitely some deficiencies in the area. And so we've had to work together, and we've had to do some additional studies to determine what we could do with the drainage in that area. We had to look at several different outlet locations, and that has taken some time. So those studies in themselves have taken some time, and there's also been some infrastructure work that has been added to the project. So it's the east side of the project that is really creating some of the delays, and it's taken some additional time to run through those watershed studies to ensure that we're capturing all the flows that we need to, and that we bring them into the water course in an area that's not going to create any issues downstream.
Well, thank you for that. And again, the east side of Victoria Avenue along King Street is predominantly downtown Vineland. A pretty significant section of it. So again, disappointing. I will certainly be calling on Councillor Foster to get us to back on 2023, because to take this to the residents of Vineland now, I can't even imagine the pushback that we're going to get. So I will move on, and it's just, Madam Mayor, if I may, just sort of an overall look at that whole section there and all of the things that are happening. If you look at downtown Vineland to be done over the next few years, you look at the retaining wall redo on King Street to be done, you look at the bridge replacement to be done, you look at Main Street, 19th Street intersection, and then you brought up tonight the 19th Street to St. John Drive urbanization. So in a length of maybe a couple of kilometers, maybe 3, you've got 5 major projects going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years. And are you looking at this high level and the disruption that's going to happen, each time that you start a major project here? Is there an overall plan that you're looking at to do all these in some kind of order that we don't have a 5-year traffic problem in that area?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor, we are in discussions on a continuous basis with town staff, because there are also town projects that are in that area that are on top of the regional projects. So we are very cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of expenditures that are going to be made in that area. There's a lot of large projects that are going to happen in that area. And although it will cause some disruption in the local area, we perceive this as a positive for the town. There's a lot of expenditures being made in Lincoln. It's a progressive area right now that development is really focusing on, and that's the result of those types of things. So when development starts to ramp up and you know the town is really being progressive the way that Lincoln is, these improvements always create some degree of you know, congestion and difficulty for motorists and active transportation users when roads are under construction. We're very aware of that, and we will definitely be staging things in a manner that is as least disruptive as possible. However, we recognize that there will be some disruption to the community, and although, as I said, although we recognize that, we do think that there's a lot of benefits that will come out of the work that's being put into the area.
So if I can also add through the chair, we'll be working on a comprehensive communication strategy. Again, we'll work very closely with the municipality. This is common course of our program. There'll be different ways we'll be communicating it through paper, the newspaper, on our website. So there'll be a strategy that we'll work very closely with the businesses on, as well as the town itself. And then we'll be working together just on rolling that out.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Mcpherson.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Through you to the presenters, thank you, Caroline and Frank, for coming, and your staff. It's very much appreciated. Not to repeat too much about what my fellow councillor, it's exciting to see all these projects that are that you've demonstrated or shown us. With regard to the timing of the Jordan Hollow, I don't believe that there was a timing. There was a year given with regards to the structure rehabilitation. You have an idea as far as what might be?
2025 is when we have construction funds. We'll be working over the next couple of years to determine the feasibility of widening out that section.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up with that, through you, Madam Mayor, that intersection at the corner of 19th Street and King Street, there's a lot of traffic that is traveling through that way. There's a lot of people that have taken up walking and cycling as well. Is there any way, seeing as it's going to be a while before that intersection gets a rehab, there doesn't seem to be a safe way to cross it. Has there been any consideration in the region as far as creating a safer way to cross that intersection? I ask that because I cross that intersection every day. I've had emails in the past. I've all but given up on trying to find a way to cross that. I'm going to ask that question tonight while you're.
Yeah. So through Madam Mayor, that's the intersection of Jordan Village that you're talking about, and that intersection is part of the town's project for the revitalization of 19th, Main, and King in Jordan Village. So part of that project will be a full reconstruction of that intersection, including the implementation of a traffic signal and rehabilitated, upgraded, and highlighted crosswalks in that area that will assist active transportation users with manipulating their way across that intersection. Right now, the intersection is a very vast area of asphalt, and I'm sure that you're all aware of that. But the new intersection will be urbanized. It shrinks it down a little bit, and the crossings will be upgraded from what you have there today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that response. The concern I have is from tomorrow until the day that intersection actually gets reconstructed. That's the safety concern I have right now. So another question I have is with regards to active transportation and safety. You've mentioned that there's a lot of focus on bike lanes and their creation. The question, if I could pose to you, is the maintenance of these bike lanes. And, you know, like they seem fantastic when they're first constructed, but after 2 or 3 years, they seem to disappear a little. And also, are bike lanes treated equally as vehicular lanes in terms of parking? People, like, what is the region's policy with regards to parking on bike lanes? Specifically, I'm looking at an area between Jordan Road and Victoria Avenue, where there's been a number of cars parking right over bike lanes.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, a couple of things, I guess, to address this question is the recognition of a legally marked cycling facility versus a non-legally marked cycling facility. So a legally marked cycling facility would be on an urban road where we have a 1.5 meter cycling lane, and it is marked with the diamond shaped pattern and the bicycle. And those facilities were covered under the Municipal Act changes, the minimum maintenance standards changes about a year and a half ago, that those are now maintained to the same level as a traveled lane. So the region has to plow those and clean them just like we do with the lanes on the road. So they're treated with the exact same level of rigor. When we get into unmarked lanes, so partially paved shoulders where you have 1.5 meters in a rural section of paved shoulder, and that is not marked, those are not maintained to the same level as a marked facility. However, they are, I've never observed an area where those receive as much debris as a urban cross section, because typically that debris will go off the edge of the paved shoulder and onto the granular shoulder. So there's a little bit of a different treatment on both of those. One is a legally marked lane that's recognized by the region as a cycling facility, and the paved shoulders are not legally marked. We are providing that paved shoulder for refuge and for cyclists that opt to use it. However, it's not a legally marked facility.
Just to follow up, I bring this up through you, Mayor, is when cycling, we have a lot of regional roads that people are walking along as well. They use those outlined, you know, apparently they're not bike lanes, but they use those areas of the road to walk as well as to cycle. So when they're not in the proper shape, they're unexpectedly, if there's a car parked, cyclists will be forced to move over into the live lane, which might be of a safety concern. And, you know, I just would hate to find or hear of an injury, serious injury or a death resulting from that sort of situation. And then if I may, Madam Mayor, one more final question.
Yes.
With regards to Regional Road 69 and that reconstruction, has the regional staff looked at the sight lines, the inclines? Is it just a road resurfacing, or is it an engineering exercise as well in terms of safety and sight lines?
So through Madam Mayor, that is being looked at. We do look at the horizontal and vertical profile of the road whenever we do a resurfacing or a reconstruction. So we have a little less tolerance to be able to adjust when we're doing a resurfacing. But these sections are definitely being looked at for the horizontal and vertical profile of the road.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, because residents in that area have specifically noted that there have been concerns as far as sight lines with crests over hills and that sort of thing. So appreciate the response, and once again, appreciate the answers you've provided.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you very much, Mary. Stand through to the presenters, Carolyn and Frank. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And regarding, major projects that are coming. Very, very thankful for all the infrastructure that will be coming to Lincoln. I will have to echo my Ward 3 councillors as Ward 4 founders on Victoria Avenue. That is the boundary between the two wards. Very disappointed to hear that Vinehaven project is pushed off to 2024 with promises made to our residents in that area of 2023. However, I understand and have heard the discussion around that. So I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about a stretch road from Victoria Avenue west on Regional Road 81. So the speed there is 50 until you hit Martin Road, it becomes a 70. And people are traveling 80, 90 all day. That's a regular occurrence. Cherry Avenue is an extremely dangerous
Street from Victoria heading west.
There's been many accidents recently this summer. And I often hear from residents about that intersection and lowering the speed there. And I think another thing that we really need to look at in that area, this has been a concern for 20, 30 years, but recently, since, the last 5-7 years, there are major businesses, major wineries, brewery. At almost every single side street, you see a major business there now. We've got Bench, we've got Redstone, the list just went on if you drive along there. And I just recently, we have a brand new winery that just opened as well, who contacted me regarding, people are coming in and out, and they're trying to pull out, and pulling out into people going by 80, 90. So I guess what I want to say is we need to look at lowering that speed from the entire area. In my opinion, it should be lowered to 50 all through that section. So I would just like to have that put out here tonight and hope that you will consider looking at that area. Thank you very much.
So through you, Madam Mayor, we're having a little bit of breaking up on that. Can we just confirm the limits would be King Street from Victoria to Cherry Ave?
Absolutely, and beyond to Bartlett Road. I'm sorry if my mic is scratchy, I had no idea.
Okay, so from Victoria to Bartlett, and we can take that back to our traffic safety section and have them look at the speeds and any potential safety issues within that stretch.
That would be great and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Reimer, do you have any questions about the report?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor Easton. Quick thank you to Carolyn and to Frank and the rest of your staff for being here this evening. One quick comment / question. Lots of exciting projects for the next several years. Most of them affect our east-west corridors. And we have a beautiful part of the province. Unfortunately, when one little accident happens on the QEW, Regional Road 81 can be a parking lot. Regional Road 69 can have traffic backups. And I was following some of the timelines, Frank, that you were giving. Has there been any coordination with the MTO with regards to any work on the QEW? It seems like all the regional work is staggered during the years, but it would be really unfortunate to have a busy summer and have two or three of these corridors blocked up or suffering from traffic. I assume some will have to shut down looking at some of these projects. So just looking for comments or feedback on staggering construction on these things.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Mayor, we do have ongoing dialogue with the MTO where we discuss projects and timing for projects. And we have made some improvements to that collaboration recently with the implementation of Municipal 511, which will be able to track local, municipal, regional, and MTO projects all on the same platform. So there has been some improvements to the collaboration in that regard, and we are in constant dialogue with them on both of our schedules, including the local municipal schedule, which also affects the road system.
If I could also just add through the mayor, so there will be a report coming, I think it's targeted for October PWC, Councillor Foster, to talk about the Municipal 511 initiative that the region is leading in partnership with the 12 local area municipalities and MTO. So there'll be more to come on that program, just so you're aware.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you. Councillor, where's, I'm looking for Councillor Russell. Councillor Russell, I have some comments and questions. If you would take the floor, and then I'm going to turn it over to Councillor Foster, because we have a few comments, and then to CAO Kirkopoulos. Thank you, Councillor Russell.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm now in the chair. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Carolyn and Frank, I want to pick this up about 10 degrees. Carolyn, I want to thank you very much. You have been a great partner since I have become mayor. We've made a lot of improvements. We've had a good understanding of the priorities of the municipality. And I think the councillors tonight have presented you with very measured, very tempered responses. I'm not prepared to do that. Until last week, I had no idea that there were going to be delays on any Lincoln projects at all. So the first thing I had heard, the first time I heard about it was last Thursday night, and there were 2 projects mentioned. What you're presenting tonight is a totally different picture. I'm not sure what kind of a conversation we could possibly have with our residents that would even give them any confidence in what is going forward. I can think of 15 reasons why you've made the decisions that you've made, but you have put every capital project that involves the region of significance at risk. And I don't understand why this is happening. And so we're going to have to come back and have additional conversations. I'm not accepting this as the mayor of this community. We have been working since 2015 diligently. We have had plans, we have sought investment, and now we are being confronted with penalties. And I don't understand it at all. I sent an email to the CAO last week. He didn't know about these changes. He just heard about them on that day. I've spoken to Councillor Foster. Why didn't you tell me about these? He didn't know about them either. So we don't understand what's happening here. What's gone on? These are these are considerable delays. And we have been going along telling you heard the councillors tonight, they are as diligent as you're going to find. And they are constantly looking out for the best interests. It doesn't cut it to say that there's a lot of investment coming to Lincoln. Why wouldn't there be? This community has put out the greatest, most logical effort to deal with 10-year capital plans across the region. And these are penalties that you're presenting to us, and I do not understand it. So I'm going to be still because I don't want to say anything that will damage our long-term relationship, because I said, Carolyn, we have worked very well and I have been very pleased to have you as a partner, but something has gone wrong here and I'm not accepting this as the final answer. We have to have another discussion on this. I couldn't even begin to go back and explain this to any constituent in any of the wards, and I don't believe the ward councillors could either. So I'd like to turn to Councillor Foster. Maybe he'll be a little bit less wound up than I am. I certainly think it's warranted from time to time, and then we'll go to CAO. Councillor Foster, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councillor Russell.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Foster, you have something to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor at this moment. Look, Carolyn, I'm going to echo exactly what it is that Mayor Easton has provided to you at this point. I have been in front of this council explaining to them exactly what I've been told from region on where we're going and how we are going to be handling projects. And to say that all of these projects are being delayed is a huge disappointment. And personal credibility comes into play with these things as well. I mean, I work very hard for the town of Lincoln But then to sort of see this coming up in this particular meeting, in this forum, I'm not a very happy camper. So we need to take a step back and have a look at this, because to be perfectly frank, there are so many things that we need done by the region and the town of Lincoln. I have expressed these on many occasions, and it seems that the things that have to be done are now the ones that are getting pushed off, not to mention the other ones that we've been talking about that must get done because the town of Lincoln needs to have them done. So this is a very disappointing presentation this evening from my point of view. And anyway, I think there'll be further discussions. So thank you.
Thank you, Regional Councillor Foster. Is there any response from the region?
Through the chair, if I could just add. So Mayor Easton and Councillor Foster, we have been great working partners. We have been transparent and we've been very open and honest with one another. So I'd expect nothing less from you, Mayor Easton. I'm happy to have any dialogue outside of what we're presenting here tonight. I think there's a huge amount of investment coming into Lincoln, which we've presented. Appreciating there's disappointment on timelines. If I can caveat that everything we have been presenting to date, regardless of 2022, which we're before council imminently to get approval for, we're showing everything as a 1 to 5 year draft budget regarding our capital. There are a lot of pushes and pulls, which I know that you're both aware of with regards to transportation dollars and how we're trying to divvy them up across all of Niagara region based on our bridge condition indices and our PCI indices with regards to immediate needs that we need to be addressing from a safety perspective. So I'm happy to have any further dialogue with both of you with regards to what's been presented tonight. And again, as a partner to work with you on strategic priorities and how we can move those forward on your behalf.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. Madam Mayor, do you have another question?
No, I'd just like us to move on now to hear from the CAO.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. CAO, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, let me start by thanking Carolyn, you and your team for the presentation this evening. I think, as always, from a staff perspective, we look forward to working with our regional colleagues on what I think you've heard tonight yet again, and I think you know are important projects that have been earmarked for Lincoln and that we have been talking about for a number of years. I do agree with the comments from council this evening. Then Lincoln's projects are very important. They are time sensitive for a whole bunch of reasons, from school openings to a number of other factors. And I'm going to suggest that I look forward to working with CAO Tripp. We had a touch point last week, and I said if there was ever any issues that I would be in touch with him as the CAO. And so I look forward to working, I think, with CAO Tripp, Carolyn, you as well, Councillors Foster and Easton as well, to see what can be done to move the timelines of these projects up. I get it, there's competing priorities across all municipalities. You've got ourselves, 11 other LAMs, and then regional projects that need to be moved forward. But Lincoln has been patient. We've taken a patient approach. We've taken a sympathetic and I think deliberative approach in what we want over the years, waiting our turn for regional projects. And so I know regional staff's working hard for everyone in the community across the region. But if you ask me, I think the timelines can be moved up, and we're going to be advocating on behalf of our residents. So I will be in touch shortly, from a staff to staff perspective.
Thank you very much, Mike. Carolyn, do you have a comment?
Through the chair, I work very closely with the CAO. I welcome all conversations, and I'm happy to have further dialogue on future programs and their timing. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Mayor, do you have anything further?
No, I just want to thank Carolyn for being gracious with our position. Councillor, really, we can't be seen as being complicit with delays without further discussion. I guess that would, and I think that what we're hearing from Carolyn is that she's willing to come forward. But if our 10-year capital plan is put at risk, it puts a totally different complexion on our mutual goals of public safety. And we certainly don't want to see that happen. Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Council, for taking the chair.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I shall virtually pass you back the gavel and you can head back into the chair position.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so as a step one, I guess we didn't expect to have any less of a discussion. I think it was a very fulsome discussion, brought us all up to date on where we're at right now. So again, Carolyn, thank you very much for your participation, and also you, Frank, and the rest of your team. So I'm going to move on now to Craig Milligan, the road safety engineer, microtraffic, regarding the intersection safety study on Ontario and King Street. Craig, we've been looking forward to this for a long time. Please go ahead.
The chair, I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction just to set the stage prior to Craig launching into his presentation. So to just put some background on the pilot that was done. So Niagara Region commenced the Smart City Pilot Project in Q2 of 2020 at the intersections of Ontario Street and King Street and Mountain Street and King Street. The primary objectives were to detect and collect multimodal traffic data in real time and provide actionable insight into vehicle progression across both intersections and identify potential issues with signal timings, truck traffic, and pedestrian movement. It's fair to say, Mayor Easton, there's been a lot of conversation with yourselves, and again, this was a pilot the region brought to Lincoln to deal with the many conversations we've had about some of the safety down the corridor. It has allowed 7-day real-time data collection to allow staff to review and optimize progression based on accurate evidence-based data in the moment. A 360 wide-angle lens camera and MyoVision traffic link was installed at only the intersection of King Street and Ontario, so that we were able to track what was occurring in that intersection, which is what Craig will be speaking to this evening. Microtraffic, who is presenting this evening as the road safety and human behavior expert, conducted a comprehensive in-service road safety review of the intersection of Ontario Street and King Street using the Smart City MyoVision cameras, and we'll talk about the findings, the analysis, and the next steps the region will be looking into, again, in collaboration with town staff. So I'd like to introduce Craig Milligan. He takes the lead role as the safety engineer and is here to present the pilot study findings to council. Thank you, Craig. Welcome.
Madam Clerk.
Craig, we can't actually hear you.
You can't hear me.
Now
okay.
We can.
You can hear me now. Okay, I'll just keep this mic.
Welcome, Craig.
Thank you very much.
And I'll share my screen, Craig, just to share your presentation. Give me one moment.
Thank you.
If you can confirm that you can see that.
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And just let me know when to go to the next slide.
I will.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Like was said, I'm a traffic safety engineer. I work with Microtraffic. It's a technology company. It's based in Winnipeg. It operates in 75 cities globally. A relatively new company, and the reason we developed our technology for video measurement of road safety was because that not all safety issues can be understood through traditional data sources. And then often when we do find them through the traditional data sources, it's after the crash happened. So the technology we made and that we used here at Ontario Street and King Street takes the video and from any kind of camera. It's compatible with the MyoVision cameras that you piloted, and it compiles a diagnostic snapshot. It looks at things like speeds, risk behavior of road users, near misses. It's all automatically and anonymously processed by the software that's ingesting the video and creating this safety data. And that creates a diagnostic snapshot that's very detailed, that's very precise. And when that snapshot is showing a certain risk factor, then a safety improvement can be developed or conceptualized by regional staff or by us. that responds to that risk factor to bring it down and make the intersection more safe. So that's what we did, and I'll tell you a little bit about our study. Please go to the next slide. We'll tell about the work we did, the intersection that you know very well, the video conflict analysis, and then the issues we found and recommendations we came up with. Next slide. In brief, our firm did a review of the site. We collected 63 hours of video. We did an artificial intelligence analysis of this video that found risk patterns, risk behaviors, near misses, identified key safety issues, and then identified safety improvements. Next slide, please. We're talking about this intersection, which you are very familiar with, Ontario and King Street, and basically with a lot of commercial land use surrounding it. And during the time that we had the video snapshot of, there were 45 cyclists, 440 pedestrians, 5 e-scooters, and 18,000 vehicles per day using that intersection. We expect that those cyclist and pedestrian numbers would be quite higher in the summer, as the snapshot we did was from March. Next slide. This is what it looks like looking north. It's a T intersection. The next slide, just to orient anyone who hasn't been here recently, is the cross section, what it looks like looking east. So I won't dwell on any of this because you're so familiar with the intersection. We'll go to the next slide. So what happens in the video analytics is we measure near misses or conflicts, which are of different severity levels. So one of the types of conflicts we were measuring was people going east, turning left to proceed northbound, and then the westbound through vehicles. There were 48 conflicts detected of this configuration. And I'd like to highlight that of those, none of them were in the red or the orange zone. So there were 30 in the green zone, low risk conflicts, and 18 in the medium risk zone, 0 high risk, 0 critical risk. This kind of safety level, the risk was below benchmark risk levels, so it's comparatively safer than other places where you have to turn left at a signalized intersection across opposing traffic. So it's not that there's not a risk, but it is comparatively safer because it was below our benchmark risk rates. The speeds westbound were moderate, which was the main reason why the risks were not in the high and critical risk levels. And you can see how the conflicts were distributed through the day. If you go through to the next slide, you'll just see here there's a screenshot from the video, and you can see the boxes around the cars and the lines. That's all the software acting automatically and anonymously to measure the movements of those vehicles, their speeds, their relative positions. And you see this left turning vehicle proceeding in a gap. And so we would have measured the temporal separation between those road users, the speed of the oncoming vehicle to assign a risk level. And this would have been in the medium risk category with a separation of 2.3 seconds and an oncoming vehicle speed of 38 kilometers per hour. Next slide. We measured vehicle-vehicle conflicts, and that one with that left versus through was the only vehicle conflict of consequence that we measured. We also measure when vehicles conflict and interact with vulnerable road users, be that cyclists, e-scooters, or pedestrians. We measured one e-scooter risk conflict. It was eastbound left vehicle versus a e-scooter on the north crossing, and that was in the medium risk category. 2 cyclist conflicts, again with the eastbound left vehicle and the cyclists on the north crossing. A lot of cyclists use the sidewalk and the crosswalk here, and they were in the low and medium risk categories. And the 7 pedestrian conflicts were all with right turning vehicles. And they were one in the low, of those 7, there was 1 in the low risk and 6 in the medium risk category. The vehicles, as they turn and navigate around pedestrians, are at a relatively slow speed, so they're not undertaking high-speed turning movements. So everything was below 25 kilometers per hour, which we like to see. And so let's go to the next slide, please. Here are some screenshots of vehicles interacting with vulnerable road users. Here, the e-scooter was about to cross, and then they were on a trajectory to interact with this white left-turning vehicle. Here again, the cyclist is crossing on the north crossing from sidewalk to sidewalk. It was dark, and they had to adjust their movement there so that they didn't hit the cyclist. So let's go on to the next slide, please. Some more clips. I talked about right turning vehicles, and I'll speak to the radius of these right turns. So this person coming around the right turn as someone else is finishing their crossing, a pedestrian, and here's another pedestrian crossing in conflict with a right turning vehicle. So this is all the stuff we measured, and we found those 7 pedestrian conflicts, 2 bike, 1 e-scooter, and 38 with the left turns. If you go to the next slide. After we're finished it and we see the risks, and then we look at the intersection, we look at its characteristics compared to other intersections we work with in 75 communities and cities around the world. We say, what are some of the issues here and recommendations? I have to say that, just overall, this intersection, we definitely found issues that could be improved with improvements. I wouldn't consider any of the issues urgent or alarming, but there are definitely things that actions could be taken to make it even more safe, because there's always room for that. So westbound right vehicles versus pedestrians, there were several of those conflicts, and we suggest you can reduce the westbound right radius even further, the tighter turn to lower speeds, and potentially use a mountable apron if necessary for trucks. We looked at the pavement markings. They're not jumping out as being in great condition to us, what we saw in the video, and have recommendations related to reapplication using high quality durable materials that are reflective in all weather conditions. We talk about the crossing distance. We believe that King Street could be a good candidate for curb extensions into the parking lanes to reduce crossing distances. That also for sure has to be analyzed in conjunction with operational impacts. And then in terms of universal accessibility, this didn't come from the video analytics, just from the Google Earth Street View review. We noticed that some modernization could be happened to the ramps, the tactile markings for visually impaired users, and so on. And if you go to the last slide, there's another set of recommendations. We did see some of the conflicts happening at night. We cannot, from a distance from here in Winnipeg, conduct a photometric analysis of that intersection, but the illumination levels did appear low to us, and certainly on the northeast quadrant were more illuminated than the northwest. So people passing from a dark to a light zone is a potential area where a motorist might not notice them. So we're suggesting to measure that in the field compared to tech standards and increase if necessary. About the left turn conflicts, the second row here in the issues, 48 sounds like a big number. Again, they were mostly low risk and medium risk. There is a strategy that can eliminate those conflicts, which is fully protected phasing. However, in our view, because they're occurring at lower speeds, we don't consider this intersection really as a top candidate for protected only operation. and there's always a cost. You know, it increases traffic jams when you go to protected only operation, and we only tend to recommend it when we see more of those conflicts in the medium and higher risk category. A couple other things we noticed, this third item, chance of signal perception failure, red light, running and right angle crashes. Anytime you have a signalized intersection, this can happen. We look at it, the signal displays are at the same elevation in an east-west direction. That can cause sun glare issues. So we recommend we call tertiary, or locally called auxiliary signal heads, reflective backplates to signals, and all kinds of things that would reduce the chance that someone is going to miss the fact that there's a red light there. Again, this is just from a quick look at it on Google Earth. That particular item was not, we didn't see people running the red light in the video analytics, nor in the crash data. But anytime you see that east-west with the signals at the same elevation, that's a potential issue. And I just wanted to highlight that I know trucks were an issue of concern, but we didn't note any particular safety concerns related to the trucks. It didn't come up in the video analytics, so I don't really have anything to say about that. So thank you for listening to this presentation. I'm happy to answer questions, but I think Carolyn will be addressing some of the region's intentions related to the recommendations.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Craig. We're going to start with the next speakers list. Madam Clerk, is it possible to line up Carolyn's image, Ms. Rial's image with the, so that I can see her? And then I'll know when she wants to jump in and support the discussion. Okay, that's helpful. I can see her reasonably well. Okay, so councillors, I don't see any hands at the moment, but now I see Councillor Mikulik, so we'll start with Councillor Mikulik. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Milligan, thank you for this presentation, and it really is interesting what COVID has done in terms of technology and these sorts of studies, you know, using video. We're having this meeting through video. However, is it just me, or is there something to be said about actually being at the intersection to make these sorts of decisions? Does your technology incorporate sound?
Does not incorporate sound, and I think it's great to have someone involved in the decision-making process visit the intersection. So we can do a lot from the far, and we pass our data to people who actually see the intersection to make the final decision about which recommendations to act on or maybe add to our list.
And I asked that question because I just want to, how much weight we put into a study like this in terms of decision making. The other question I would have is with regards to this video technology, like you note the average speeds through the intersections, but there are times when I'm in an intersection and I have to floor it to get through that intersection. Is your technology able to identify that, or is it taking an average speed for a vehicle to go through that intersection? Because sometimes there are times when I'm making a left turn or making a turn, I'm pinning it. I'm having to get through that intersection, and it's not an average speed. Does your technology note that?
Our measurements of speed are updated 30 times per second for every road user, and so we would see that kind of behavior emerging. And what is reported in the conflict is an instantaneous speed that was most applicable to the risk of injury from the vehicle that would have impacted the vulnerable vehicle. So yeah, it's very detailed compared to speed, and I know exactly. I've been in the same situation as you, when you're judging a gap, and you're kind of just pinning it through that gap, Also worried about pedestrians on the downstream crosswalk. In short, that's my answer. We measure every instantaneous speed, but report the one that was most relevant to the injury risk.
Okay, I appreciate that. And just in wrapping up my questioning, I just feel there's something to be said to be actually at an intersection, to hear the sounds, to hear the cursing of the pedestrians, to hear the cursing, the horns of the cars, this sorts of thing. I think you get a good feel of what's going on at an intersection by being there, seeing it, and appreciating it. So thank you very much. But certainly interesting technology that you've presented. Thank you.
Okay, just let me, Ms. Rial, do you have any comments to make? Just put your hand up, but you are quite a ways away from me. But if you do have anything to add, just put your hand up. Okay. Go ahead.
Through the chair. So the technology we're providing this evening is, again, just another tool by which the region has been able to assess the conditions that are being raised about the intersection. So we have staff from the safety group that actually are out on the ground. We've been out with the town staff. We also hire other providers that support the region, where they'll go out and they will do a daily count, and they're assessing speeds actually on site. And we'll do that through the AM and the PM peak period. So the region uses many different tools with regards to how we assess. We also have the ability to track speeds through our speed display trailer, as well as with the different contractor that we have out traditionally that assists the region with doing counts and looking at speeds, which has been a large part of how we do our annual counts across all regional roads throughout our network. So it's fair to say what we're presenting here tonight, it was a new technology pilot that we wanted to bring to actually analyze what is happening out there from a camera technology perspective, in addition to the traditional ways that we've been doing the work out in the field.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much. Councillor Mikulik, is that satisfactory?
I appreciate, just to follow up, I just don't want this technology, because of what it's stating, to be a way to not do a thorough investigation of that intersection based on this sort of timing of the year. It would appear that there's no problem with this intersection, or no serious problem, and I want to make sure that's not the case. That is the outcome. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor.
Through the chair, Mary Easton.
Yes, go ahead.
So if I could also just add, so Councillor Mikulik, I totally appreciate your comments. This intersection actually, to provide some further context based on the recommendations. So the recommendations are with the region right now currently. It's fair to say that this intersection is up for a rebuild. So it's on the immediate horizon of the region for us to go out there and rebuild this intersection. Most of the recommendations, we were pleasantly surprised that we're in support of them, but they are items that we had already had noticed, and they will be improved upon as we go and do the traffic signal rebuild out there. So there'll be new AODA standards that'll be implemented, in addition to what Craig's presented here tonight. All of this is factoring into what we're doing with the rebuild out there, and anything in addition as we continue to monitor as we design that intersection.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, thank you to Mr. Milligan for the presentation. My question and comments do go back to Carolyn and her team. Seeing all this data and seeing what is going to be coming down the road when this intersection turns into, at some point, a four-way intersection, how relevant will the data be that we have today be on what we think is going to happen somewhere down the road? Like this intersection, obviously, as Councillor Mikulik said, it's highly volatile. I would say it's very highly sensitive to our residents in Ward 1 and residents in Ward 2 that are up and down it regularly. At what point do we think that we either going to have a reforecast of the data when it does become a four-way, or is it just going to be, we're going to do the best we can to make sure that we can infer what changes are going to be required to adequately ensure the safety of the residents?
So through the chair, thank you for the question. So again, the region does continual analysis, and with this being, an intersection of safety concern that we have been in quite a bit of dialogue with the council as well as staff on, we will do multiple checks prior to us designing with the final design, and then before we're out there doing the rebuild. So again, what we were trying to do with the pilot was bring in new technology that really was going to broaden the information the region has already been collecting out on site and with the other service providers that we currently use in a more traditional manner. Again, we have no problems reforecasting, and that's just part of the program. With regards to the signalized intersection, there will be standard things we'll be looking to do, obviously with the enhanced markings for the crosswalks. We'll be looking for turning lanes. That's all standard. We'll be incorporating all of that. We'll be making sure that the intersection is AODA compliant. There's just a number of things that, again, as we're designing the ultimate cross section out there, we'll be continuing to measure what's happening. And again, this is just, like I said, an extension of a lot of work the region has done to monitor this intersection, and it's bringing a little bit of perception and reality with facts a little bit just tonight to the table, so we can all appreciate what's actually happening out there from a camera perspective, in addition to the traditional ways we do it.
Thank you, Carolyn. Madam Mayor, follow up?
Yes.
Okay, through you to Carolyn again. Would this, the rebuild would it be done in conjunction at all with any potential rebuild for the corner of King and Mountain? Would they be done in duo or in tandem?
Through the chair. So I need to bring that back. I don't believe so. I don't think King and Mountain is on the immediate horizon, to my understanding, but this one is.
Okay.
I'll have to bring it back. I don't believe it is.
Thank you. And one last follow-up, Madam Mayor, through you.
Yes, go ahead.
What would the timing of that rebuild be? Again, I know, would it be in conjunction with the Ontario Street plan that we saw? I think it was on the 5-year plan. Any idea?
Just in looking back to Frank through the chair, yes, that would be our target, but I'll also be engineering will be coordinating with a traffic control group or a traffic signals department as well in that collaboration and timing.
So we will get a follow-up?
I can provide a follow-up on the timing, absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And now we have Councillor Renee. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very briefly, most of my questions have been answered here, but I agree with Carolyn's comments, and Craig, thanks for the work that you've done here. Thank you for the key takeaways. I hope that we can look at those in the proper vein, in the proper light. I agree with what Carolyn has said. The cameras are great, and we need to use those to some real information that we're seeing here. One of my biggest takeaways is that what you're telling us here, Craig, is there was no major concerns with anything to do with trucks. And, so that over that 63 hours, that's what it's being told. But we're also being told by residents that, are in front of conversations on any given day in the summer, maybe not during COVID, but prior to COVID, and trucks having difficulty, making that turn to go on down Ontario Street, especially trucks with pups. So, it just bothers me to come away from this where one of the messages is there's no real concerns with trucks, because we all know there are concerns with trucks. One of my takeaways, Madam Mayor, through you to through this presentation, through to you to Carolyn, is we talk about these crosswalks and these paintings of the lines. And, I, for one, have been on Director Graham for the last 2 or 3 years that, we need to get our crosswalks done quicker, done faster. We're always at the mercy of waiting for the line trucks to come out from the region. These are heavily traveled intersections. And it seems like when we do get the lines painted, within a matter of months, the lines are faded again. I think we all agree by looking at those pictures from Craig's presentation, some of those crosswalks are very poor at best. I'm wondering if Carolyn could make a comment about the paint that we're using and at what stages, how many times are we looking at painting these things? Are we painting them, biannually? Are we looking at doing them once a year? Because it just seems like whatever we're doing is not working.
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor, for the comments. So the region right now is working on introducing durable paints throughout the crosswalk. So it's a program that we started this year. We have a contractor that we brought on through a procurement process where we target a handful of crosswalks to try a durable product that we're going to be piloting to see longevity, with the intent that it's going to be in place. We're hoping for, the duration of up to 3 years. The waterborne paint product that we've used at this intersection was strategically decided to be used as a result of the current work that's going on with the development close in the area, with regards to also the future rebuild that's going to be happening out at that intersection. So we are moving again into a durable paint program for high pedestrian intersections. These are on the horizon. I think we may have done the durable at the other location. I'll confirm that, but that is where the region is moving on these, again, these higher pedestrian locations with regards to placing a durable product versus the waterborne.
So thank you, Carolyn, for that response. And one thing, I'm a firm believer, give credit where credit is due. One observation that I have made in recent weeks is that, to me, in my humble opinion, when you're traveling through those intersections during the day, those markings, they don't jump out at you. They're very dated, and you're not really, there's no, as you're coming into the intersection, there's no perception that, oh my God, there's a crosswalk here. But however, I do want to point out that at night, and I've just noticed this over the last few weeks to a month, that when you're traveling there at night, when your lights from your headlights hit that paint, it just shines, and it's brilliant. So I just needed to make that observation, because I don't know if that's something that has changed, but the illumination at night has been remarkable change to me. So I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor. Did you have anything to say, Carolyn?
Yes, through the chair. So just a comment, Councillor, on that. And again, I'll come back with more information if needed on the waterborne versus the durable. But my understanding is with the waterborne, it does have a reflective component to it that shines in the evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Pachuriva.
Thanks, Your Worship, and thank you very much for the presentation, Craig. Question, and I appreciate using new technologies, so I thank the region for reaching out to you and your company to conduct this survey. But again, it's a snapshot in time. So would it not make sense to do another analysis now that school is back in and people are out on the road? Like, we've got 2 dogs and take them for a walk. I have almost personally, and my wife and I and the 2 dogs, hit at this intersection crossing from south to north half a dozen times over the past year. So I appreciate that there was no urgent or alarming conflicts at your time, but they're there. So would a follow-up analysis period be beneficial, in your professional opinion?
It could be beneficial. Yeah. We have recommended some things that would deal with those issues, right? So we didn't say there's no issues at the intersection. We found risks, and in my view, anytime you find a risk, you should find a way to improve it. Improve safety for all. I just didn't want to falsely convey that, oh, these risks were the worst I've ever seen anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of follow-up analysis, I think that that has to be decided carefully. Like, it's not an insignificant amount of money to use our diagnostic technology, and so you'd have to decide between spending that sum on follow-up at the same location or the next location of concern down the street. And One day we'd love to have the technology streaming the data 24/7. It's not quite there yet. It's offering snapshots, but you would get more information certainly from a follow-up diagnostics than you get from one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And through you, Your Worship, another question to Mr. Milligan, if I may. Craig, are you able to? So we've got a total count of 18,437 vehicles over that time frame. Are you able to, percentage-wise, 70-30 vehicles versus trucks, or do you have a breakdown of? Like, I'm just asking for, I don't need actual numbers, but just a ballpark, a breakdown, because again, the perception is that, it's heavily trucked. So just curious.
I don't personally have that information or the ballpark at my fingertips. Sir.
Okay.
But I know that this information can be extracted and maybe can be sent by follow-up.
Okay, thank you very much. And then one other question, if I may, Your Worship, and this would go to Carolyn and her team at the region. And Carolyn, I don't, maybe a step up on the paint. And I saw this one of the very first times I went to AMO, that there was almost reflective glass chips that could go into the road surface when you're painting those crosswalks. And then when the headlights hit them, they almost become a fluorescent 3D appearance of a crosswalk. And Mr. Milligan pointed out, and I can attest to it, at night, it's dark and it's hard to see. Would that something that we could employ maybe on a test basis for this going forward? Just asking.
So through the chair. So the glass beads is what creates the reflectivity that you're seeing during the evening. And that is in the durable paint product that the region is using.
Okay,
it's
terrific.
So it's not used in the waterborne. It's used in the durable that we're transitioning and more in the urban and the high pedestrian areas to implement. So it is in the durable product that the region is using.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, Carolyn. We'll move on to Councillor Mcpherson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Carolyn. Question to you on this type of technology being used on the King Street, Victoria Avenue intersection, and is it your plan in the design of the King Street redo that this type of analysis would be done, and if you would then bring those results back to council, similar to what you did tonight here for Ontario Street in Beamsville?
Through the chair. So very good question, Councillor. With the pilot just really coming to an end, the region is assessing, obviously, the recommendations and the results on this product and where the viability may be with us moving forward with using it throughout all the Niagara region. So that is a takeaway in our end right now that we're assessing, and we'll be looking to whether this will be something that we'll want to implement elsewhere. There's a number of different products that the region's approached with. So we're always looking for newer ways to take a look at the business, and then working with these different vendors on piloting with the hopes that down the road we may have a longer relationship with how we might deploy it elsewhere.
Thank you for that, Carolyn. It's just interesting that the intersection that we've got in Vineland certainly has its challenges and I'm sure you're familiar with it, in the hill that is coming down from the escarpment, and it of course is a truck route, and there are speeds that are moving through that intersection with trucks. So I think it'd be interesting to see this type of analysis done, incorporating that particular traffic and the challenges that we have with that traffic coming downhill. Just a thought.
Yeah, through the chair. Councillor, can you just confirm what intersection you were referring to? Was it Mountain and King you were referring to, or was it Victoria?
No, Victoria Avenue and King Street in Vineland.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I don't see any other hands, Madam Clerk, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Carolyn, just I want to thank you very much for bringing this technology to Lincoln, and I think that we all understand that new technology sometimes has to grow into all the things that that we expect it will. Certainly having that count of 18,000, that's just a number. It seems like such a number. Were you surprised when you saw what that figure was?
Through the chair. So there have been a number of counts that we have done in concert with the municipality in the past. I think with regards to where those numbers fell, no, I wasn't surprised. We did the larger program. I think it was with WSP Mary Easton. I think we presented, may have been about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, where we actually had the drone flying and we were doing counts at these two intersections as well. It's fair to say that the counts do change. We've since then been in a pandemic, so driving patterns and behaviors have been different. But again, all this information is back with the safety team and the planning group to assess this versus the previous studies that we've implemented. And, you know, again, we'll be continuing our dialogue with town staff on how we move any safety improvements, especially with the rebuild of this intersection forward in a safer manner. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think the positive thing, if I could just say, is that we are aware that there are safety concerns being raised, and I think if anything, this just helped us understand that there are no immediate, high severe items that we need to be tending to. They're more moderate in nature to minor, and again, those are items that we can assess and address. Pretty immediate. So we're concerned. We're happy with those results.
Okay, Councillor Russell, would you please take the chair for a moment? I have one question, a follow-up question to ask Carolyn on my own.
Sure. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. So Carolyn, this is great to have this information available and for us to progress further as both the technology changes, maybe we become even more precise about the information that we're looking for. So now, in addition to the division of vehicles Councillor Sharif asked for, can you tell us what the next steps are and the capital work that we can participate? Can you tell us that this evening?
So through the chair, there'll be more to come when we've had a chance to digest all of the different recommendations, and that's being done through our planning and our safety group. So with regards to continuing with the marking program, so the line marking program, that will continue on an annual basis. With regards to our ability to have checks done with a certain element of frequency on what's happening in the intersection, we will continue to do that. With regards to whether we're going to advance this technology or something different in the community at both intersections, Mountain and King and Ontario and King, we will continue to assess that, and we'll go monitor them as we've been doing throughout the course of our dialogue for the past, I'm going to say 2 years, with regards to the safety that we talk about. With the rebuild, again, we'll be doing AODA compliance in this intersection, again, factoring in the recommendations that the consultant has brought forward. We've got the Ontario Street streetscaping and rebuild program that was talked to earlier about the capital program. So again, we did a study from our lens and the work is done. This is a continual process for us and how we assess what's happening out in all of the municipalities, especially in the more sensitive ones that we bring forward as part of our dialogues together as partners. And it's fair to say we'll continue to do that. There's also the truck bypass study that we're working very closely with Dave, Director Dave and his group. And there'll be more to come out of just the collaboration between the region and your own staff with regards to next steps coming out of that final recommendations of the study. So there's a lot of work, Mayor Easton, that is going to continue, whether it's our annual checks or whether it's us thinking outside the box again as partners and how we advance and move safety forward in all communities. And if I can it can end on concluding with the Vision Zero program, which is something that the region is passionate about moving forward, again, requiring the 12 lambs with the unanimous support to get that program up and running. That will allow the region to put automated speed enforcement and red light cameras throughout all of Niagara region. It will allow us to assess driver behavior because changes will be made with regards to how that will impact drivers on the roadway through speeding, running of red lights, and other things that we continue to monitor and deal with.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Russell, a follow-up, if you would permit.
Sure, of course, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Carolyn, I can't emphasize enough the importance of the radar and the red light cameras. I think that everyone on council would like to see them implemented just about in every residential area. But we are not unique. This is a major problem across the region. It's a major problem across the province. And so my question to you is, well, first let me say that I really believe that from the information we've received tonight, the councillors and myself have a very significant uphill battle in terms of presenting what's happening and the future plans to our constituents. And I think that you are a person who has always come to the table in a very forthright manner. And I'm hoping, and I want to invite you on behalf of the councillors to join us as these meetings come up, because I know that each of the wards will be having ward meetings. Mr. Tripp, CAO Tripp, has frequently come to those meetings. I would like to invite you as well. I think it would bring a great deal of additional information to the ward meeting process, which are very well attended. How would you feel about that?
So through the chair, Mayor Easton, I value our working relationship and our partnership. You know that. I always appreciate your direct candor with me on all matters, and I feel I'm the same back. So I'm happy to have any dialogue anywhere to support the municipality. And again, it's a continued partnership from the region's perspective, from my perspective with the team, and we value the relationship. So I will assist in any way that you need support.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Russell. That ends our these two very, very valuable and most timely presentations this evening. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Russell that council receive and file as information the following presentations. Carolyn Rial, Director of Transportation Services Division, Niagara Region, regarding the 1 to 5 year transportation capital budget. And Craig Milligan, Road Safety Engineer, microtraffic, regarding the intersection study on Ontario and Canada. Madam Clerk, would you, okay, Mr. Milligan, would you please call the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillor Brunet?
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson?
Yes.
Councillor Miklick?
Yes.
Councillor Pachuriva?
Yes.
Councillor Reimer?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
Mayor Easton?
Yes.
And that carries.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to item number 9, which is motion to receive and file council information package. I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda in the event that there would be any interest in having any further discussion. If there isn't, we'll continue on. I see Ms. Rial's hand up, so I'm going to go to her.
Through the chair. So I just wanted to thank Craig for presenting this evening on behalf of the work he's done for the region. So thank you, Craig. And I also want to thank Town Council, the clerk for her assistance, the staff, Director Graham and his staff that have assisted us, and yourself, Mayor Easton, and Councillor Foster for the opportunity to be here tonight. I welcome the hard conversations. I appreciate the fact that we can be open and transparent with each other. So I just wanted to say thank you for having us here this evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My apologies for moving on so quickly. I just
That's okay.
I think we did the subject matter was important, and I think we did it the service that it warranted. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you too. So anyone have any further interest in discussing item 9.1? Which is a report from the Town of Lincoln Finance re small business tax subclasses. Maybe what I should do is turn to Councillor Mcpherson and ask him if it was an item coming up on a future agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess you know, I see in the report that we are I think one of two communities that are in favor of this particular tax, and I wonder if Director Deanne would be prepared to talk to that as to you know, what is the thinking around putting this tax in place that 9 of 11 communities do not think is the right thing to do. Maybe Paul, if you can share with us some thoughts around that.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Mr. Deanne, I don't see you, but I think there you are. Great. Can you do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the councillor. And I will let Director Wagner speak as well from the tax finance, because I know he's been working with area treasurers on this. From my perspective, anything that really does help our business community, you know, both recover from the pandemic and you know, give them the ability to reinvest in their businesses, to hire local and to sort of expand their businesses, was always a bonus and an item that was sort of high on my agenda. But I will turn to Director Wagner to speak a little bit on the tax finances side of things, and I can relay some items from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce and the Toronto Board of Trade. They had some additional feedback from this as well. But before that, Director Wagner.
Through your Mayor Easton to Councillor Mcpherson. In regards to that, a lot of the discussions of the region had were with treasurers, and the treasurers, and this obviously is a draft report that still has yet to go to regional council. The treasurers, the local area municipality treasurers saw some gaps in staffing resources to administer the program. They had some challenges with the potential for appeals. They talked about the differences between criteria between different business classes and such. I didn't look at it as such an opportunity. I looked at it as, you know, if the region actually did manage it and had the staffing resources and we centralized it, we put the right criteria to make sure the right small businesses were getting the support needed, as Paul indicated. Having additional tools and supports for businesses to grow and flourish is something I think is important, because the long-term effect from them spending more in the community, growing in the community, creating more jobs in the community leads far beyond the potential property tax abatement. The province was willing to manage or assist with providing some offset reductions in education taxes. The ranges could have been anywhere from 0 to 35%, but I think some discussion was warranted or needed, rather than offhand, as from my colleagues, dismissing it because they didn't have the staffing resources and they didn't have the clarity in front of them. I think that could have came with time. So I did see it as a potential program or a tool for small businesses to use in any community. I would point out also that Toronto's already implemented this, and the City of Ottawa is also looking at it. So we may be different, but they have some interest in it, so there may be some benefits as well. So that's how I was looking at it, and that was some of my response related to the survey they sent out to local area treasurers.
So, Mayor, I do know that Vice Chair Russell and I have a touch point with Director Wagner on Wednesday of this week, and maybe this can be added to the agenda for that touch point.
Okay, that'll be very helpful. And any information that comes out of those meetings, Councillor and Mr. Wagner would be beneficial to Councillor Foster and I when this does come up at the region.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to item 10, 10.1, Committee of the Whole minutes of September.
Madam Mayor, we have a motion to receive and file as information that item of correspondence, and that was moved by Councillor Mcpherson and Councillor Reimer. May I call the vote, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Support.
Thank you. That carries.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm back on track with my script here. Item 10, 10.1, Committee of the Whole minutes of September the 7th, 2021. Do members of council have any questions from the minutes?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Pachariva, that council approve the following recommendations from Standing Committee of the Whole minutes of September the 7th, 2021. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
and Mayor Easton.
Support.
That carries.
Item number 11 is notice of motion. Is there any notice of motion?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We move on to item number 12, reports of municipal officers. Madam Clerk, item 12.1 is the mayor's report, and then I'll call on regional council. Good evening, residents, council, and staff, and thank you for engaging in tonight's council meeting. Focus of my report this evening is to provide information on a variety of meetings that I've attended since mid-August. MPP Sam Oosterhoff invited newly appointed Minister of the Environment, David Piccini, to Niagara. At this breakfast meeting, we were able to provide him with an opportunity, it provided us with an opportunity to discuss response times by his ministry. We also talked about the work of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative. As you know, this is a binational project that has created the Mayor's Advisory Committee in 2021. And we are dealing with issues facing Canada and the United States, the local and tribunal governments related to coastal management and resilience to impacts such as erosion from changing water levels, flooding, and severe storm events. Knowledge of coastal issues and the ability to respond to such, as well as funding for mitigation projects, we believe, which in our case involve implementing evacuation measures on 2 occasions since 2019, is a high priority amongst all measures. I think the members, we would be quite surprised to hear about some of the really serious dilemmas that municipalities are being confronted with. With the change in minister, we discussed the importance of faster responses to environmental questions and approvals. Vulnerability assessments in coastal regions, including coastal resilience projects, are very important to act on as soon as possible. We also heard from private enterprise that they would even welcome a faster no answer than to have the delays for any response to go on as long as they do. The town of Lincoln has also submitted and received support for improved partnerships and funding opportunities to advance shoreline protection and erosion control, infrastructure movements, and naturalized restoration measures. We submitted this resolution, which was passed by the advisory committee, and it was ratified at the annual general meeting in August. So I want to thank the town staff Shannon Fernandez and Jillian Harris for assisting with that. The town has also published through a variety of media the Youth Skills Initiative and the 3.1 million from both the provincial and federal governments to address youth retention. For anybody who hasn't read the publications that have come out from the town, we received this money, which would help to prepare 90 local youth for the workforce and to support local employers with affordable access to talent and resources that will help grow their businesses. To this end, we've developed a youth skills studio in partnership with Civic Connect, a nonprofit organization that connects youth and the private sector to their communities to maximize their social impact through technology, innovation, and strategy. I met with Mayor Jordan on August the 11th, 2020, to discuss the draft terms of reference for the joint fire services pilot between the town of Lincoln and the town of Grimsby. I want to report that the Medical Officer of Health continues to report the status of all Niagara communities every other week. There's a concerning trend in the Lincoln data that reveals a higher incidence occurring than in some other parts of Niagara. Some of the concerns that I share may be as a result of decisions being made contrary to public health, leading to an increased risk of exposure to the COVID Delta variant. And some of these directives that I'm referring to are coming from the province and agencies of the province, and the municipality does not control either those edicts or the messages. Operational procedures for mandatory vaccination have been implemented by the CAO, CAO for Couples for staff of the town of Lincoln. All councillors have been asked to share their information internally and confidentially in terms of their vaccination status. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, that we continue on the looking at our budget process. It's well underway. We're always looking for input, and we're calling on community members to engage with us. Your input will help to determine the priorities and areas of focus for the upcoming year and ensure that the budget reflects the needs and desires of the community. The survey on the budget, which is posted on our community engagement site, speakuplincoln.ca, is still available, and you can find more information on the budget process and how your tax dollars are spent in Lincoln on that site. As I have in the past recently, and I believe that many of members of council are also encouraging the public to have their concerns addressed safely without harassment and with consistent and detailed answers on speakuplincoln.ca. We're very proud to offer this new service that helps connect you and with the town council and with the subject experts at the town, and to learn more about what's happening in Lincoln. As you heard tonight, there's a great deal that's happening and that we anticipate to be happening on capital works, and I see a really welcoming trend in terms of the in-depth questions that are coming forward. So this is our way of inviting you to share your thoughts and to ask questions at a time and place that's convenient for you. So please check out the site if you haven't already. The town is really pushing hard on your behalf on many matters to ensure that Lincoln remains a leader in Niagara with a strong local economy and access to quality services and amenities. This leadership includes ongoing advocacy with both our provincial and federal government counterparts, with the region, all to ensure sustainable economic growth and to secure funding in advance of infrastructure upgrades. And this is one of the reasons why timing is so important, and consistency in timing is so important on these major capital projects because of the tie-in to the infrastructure funding at both the federal and provincial level. The issues of public safety are paramount, and so we will continue with our discussions with the region to improve the well-being of all of those who live, work, and learn in Lincoln. Remember, you live in Lincoln, where everyone tries to be a good neighbor, where children are encouraged to achieve their very best, where adults and community leaders continue to set the best example for our youth. Stay healthy, help your neighbors, build a story into every day for the children in your neighborhood. And thank you for inviting us into your home this evening. Councillor Foster, I'd like to call on you to present your report.
Thank you, Mary Easton. So a couple of things. First of all, I provided my report late to you guys, so I do apologize for that. Somewhat ironically, the Public Works Committee that was scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled. And so my plan, and Mary Easton and I will be having a discussion over the next day or two, but we will be bringing up some questions at Corporate Services on Wednesday morning to find out how some of these decisions are being made and councillors are being left out of the loop. So, and I think you can take by those words is that I wasn't terribly impressed with some of the dates that were provided to us this evening. So a couple of big issues have been going on at the region. At least they have led to meetings that have lasted for multiple hours into the evening. One was on the economic development and incentives pieces that that the region has been talking about. It's kind of critically important with that we get this right. You know, I was listening to Mr. Deanne earlier talking about you know, making sure that the right programs and stuff like that are in place. And both Mary Easton and I are hugely aware that things need to change at the region with some of these programs, but we have to make absolutely sure that the programs are being modified. And, you know, the classic, we aren't throwing out the baby with the bathwater, if you want to put it that way. We have to make sure that it's a nice combination of strategic priorities as well as working on economic development issues that are important right across Niagara. The Q2 financial reports are coming up at Corporate Services on Wednesday. To give everybody a bit of an idea with that, the numbers actually looked very good. And what I mean by that, staff have been, I guess, sharpening the pencils on a variety of things. And so there's a small surplus that has been, that is being noted. An awful lot of that is that staff in some situations have not been hired at the region, and some programs have not fully come back online with the COVID crisis. And I'm not sure even in some of the areas like, again, we had the traffic people in this evening. I'm not sure that some of the things that both Mary Easton and I have been pushing very hard at Niagara region for, which Vision Zero is one of the big ones. I'm just not sure where that's sitting right at the moment. So we're going to be trying to nail them down a little bit tighter to timelines for the simple matter that, you know, anyway, I'm kind of babbling here a bit. Sorry, guys, but I'm still a little bit not happy with the earlier presentation. Just wanted to make a personal comment. I had the opportunity to visit Rotary Park and also visit your museum. It's now finished down in Jordan, and I got to tell you, two absolutely superb facilities. Rotary Park is looking tremendous. You know, it goes hand in hand with the work done at Prokich Park and other park areas within the town. I saw some commentary on some of the things, you know, when is Vineland and when is Jordan being updated? I know that's high on your priority list to be working on those facilities as well. But just a matter, you're doing an absolutely superb job in those areas. Kudos to the town of Lincoln Council. That's my report for this evening.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor Foster. Councillors, do you have any questions? There being none, Madam Clerk, I have a motion moved by Councillor Michalek and seconded by Councillor Timmers that Council receive and file as information the following reports of municipal officers: Mayor's report and Regional Councillor update. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson,
Yes.
Councillor Michalek,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
Councillors, item number 13 is a motion to consider confidential items. We have none at this time. Councillors, it's 8:54 p.m. Is anyone looking to have a break, a 5-minute break? I don't see anything, Madam Clerk.
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to item number 14. Thank you. We have 6 bylaws for consideration today. We will separate bylaw 2021-71 as Councillor Reimer has declared a conflict, and we'll consider that bylaw last. Just make a all right, Madam Clerk, I have, oh, here it is. Okay, you've already made provision for it. All right, thank you. Okay. I have a motion. First of all, do members have any questions? Councillor Michalek, which bylaw?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's with regards to 2021 and 70 and 71.
Okay, we're going to.
So we're going to deal with bylaw 2021-71 separately, Councillor. If we can just address the bylaw 2021-70.
Okay, Councillor.
Yep.
2021-70. What is your question?
Just thank you very much through you to staff. The questions I have pertain to both and actually all of these farm help house sort of applications or motions. Is there a standard, like what I noticed with these reports or these bylaws that are presented to council, there's different information that's presented. It's not consistent in terms of one motion had many more, much more description as far as what's being proposed. In the past, there's been some applications where there's been no description as been what's been proposed. Is there any site plan with these? Like there's an image or there's a picture of the lot that the help house is being proposed, but not a location as to where on the lot it's being proposed. And the reason why I ask is because many of our rural or agricultural properties, they border residential properties. And I'm just wondering if any public engagement is in terms of where these farm help houses are located, as some of them can be bigger than others.
Okay, so I just want to make sure of one thing, and then we'll get Mr. Bruder involved. Councillor Michalek, you mentioned this is a farm help house, not a garden suite.
Yes, correct. These are both farm help houses.
Okay, all right. Mr. Bruder is, I haven't been, are you with us at the moment?
I'm here, Madam Mayor.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bruder. answer the question, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. So there are site plan processes that go along with farm help house applications, Counselor. When we look at these, as you know, site plan approval doesn't require a formal public consultation process, but as one of the components of it, we do evaluate where it is on the property with respect. There are required zoning setbacks and things to meet in that regard. So that's, you know, in a vein how we're sensitive to the adjacent property owners. So providing that they meet all of that, they go straight through a site plan process, which is a delegated staff approval exercise. And that's when the detailed design gets hashed out. I hear what you're saying, and perhaps moving forward, I think in both of these, we've included some elevations so that you can see what these farm help houses will look like. But as for where they are on the property, I don't think it would be too difficult for us to attach site plans as well to them moving forward. So your point is taken there. Hopefully that addresses your comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brewer. Yeah, it does address my, because it's a delegated authority or a delegated process. Moving forward, it's just nice to see what's being proposed, where, and how these things are being carried out. That's a concern I have, and I just want to make sure that residents know as well. So that's my main area of concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor, and point well taken. So we're going to, I don't see any other hands, Madam Clerk, so we're going to deal with 2021-69, 2021-70, 72, 73, and 74. 2021-69 is a bylaw to amend bylaw number 89-2000, 89-28, being a bylaw regulating traffic and parking on local municipal roads as amended. 2021-70 to authorize the execution of a farm help house agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Lincoln, Blue Sky Nursery Limited, together with any and all mortgagees that may be untitled at the point of registration of the agreement. Bylaw 2021-72 is a bylaw to exempt certain lands in registered plan number 30M-451 from part lot control pursuant to section 50 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Vista Ridge, Phase 1. 2021-73, bylaw to authorize the conveyance of lands to the regional municipality of Niagara for road purposes adjacent to regional road number 73, Fly Road. Bylaw 2021-74, bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Lincoln, Vineyard Canadian Reformed Church of Lincoln, together with any and all mortgagees that may be untitled at the point of registration. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you. And just to clarify, this is moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Russell. Councillor Brunet?
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson?
Yes.
Councillor Miklik?
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva?
Yes.
Councillor Reimer?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
Mayor Easton?
Support.
And that carries.
All right, we're now considering item 14.3, bylaw 2021-71. And Madam Clerk, if you would just excuse Councillor Reimer from the meeting for a few moments here.
Thank you. He has been removed from the discussion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do members have any questions on this bylaw? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Miklik and seconded by Councillor Pachariva that leave be given to approve the following bylaw. Bylaw 2021-71, bylaw to authorize the execution of a farm help house agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Lincoln, Robert and Barbara Condada, together with any and all mortgagees that may be untitled at the point of registration of the agreement. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Councillor Brunet.
Yes.
Councillor Mcpherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miklik.
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva.
Yes.
Councillor Russell.
Yes.
Councillor Timmers.
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Support.
And that carries.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please reinstate Councillor Reimer?
Confirmed, Madam Mayor, he's been reinstated.
Thank you. Councillors, item number 15 is a motion to confirm the proceedings of council. We will now confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet, seconded by Councillor Mcpherson, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2021-75, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of special council at its meeting held Monday, September the 13th, 2021, being read a first, second, and third time. That bylaw number 2021-75 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Thank you, Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miclick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
that carries.
Before we adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? Councilor Mcpherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question through you to the CAO. I see that the municipalities are starting to head back into the council chambers, and I wonder if we can get an update on where we're at with our potential move back in.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. Councillor, we are likely on schedule. I know the clerk had sent an email a number of weeks ago, but we're looking at the end of the month. I think some testing needs to be done of the equipment, and I think as a few councillors have asked, we'll be going towards a hybrid model. Those that want to come in can choose to come in. Those members of council that still want to be functioning and working from home or from a remote office will continue to do so. But I see Mr. Wagner's not on, but I'll look to the clerk just to double check and verify that indeed the schedule for month's end looks to be moving forward.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Through to the mayor, to the councillor, that is confirmed. We have an update meeting with the contractor this week, as a matter of fact, to ensure that things are on schedule. As soon as we have that, we'll be booking meetings with council and legislative services staff to provide some training should you want to be in person or remote, and what that looks like in terms of technology, so that we are all on the same page in terms of the meeting process, but that does look to be on track for the end of the month.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers and seconded by Councillor Russell, that special council meeting on September the 13th, 2021 be adjourned at 21:06.
Thank you, Councillor Brunet.
Ask the clerk to call out the vote.
Yes.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miclick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Support.
Thank you, that carries, and we are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors, for a good discussion this evening, and all very appropriate questions. Councillor Foster and the CAO and myself will be providing you with further updates as we're anticipating further meetings on this.